Hello, guys. What's up? Hello, I'm live. Is I'm audible to all of you? Hello. Guys, if you are live, then say hi. एक बार हाई कर देना. लाइक रेशो यहाँ पर है. एक बार लाइक दबा देना. हेलो. 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 हाय. हेलो. कैसे हो सब लोग? हाय. व्हाट्सअप? क्या चल रहा है? परांडा में. हेलो. अरे, हम लाइव है. भाई परूपी, कैसे हालचाल? हेलो फियाज, क्या हालचाल? हेलो कालू गेमिंग, हेलो मेगास, क्या हालचाल? हाय 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 हाय. हेलो. क्या चल रहा है गाइस सभी का? कैसा चल रहा है सब? जस्ट लेट मी नो ऑन द कमेंट सेक्शन. मैं जल्दी जल्दी मैं कुछ कनेक्ट करना ही भूल गया. प्लीज से माय नेम. वाइपर ओपी आपका नाम ले लिया. भाई नोवा के बारे में बताओ, नोवा कब खेलेगी? ब्रो नोवा अब अगले साल ही खेलेगी. हेलो की भाई, हेलो, क्या हाल चाल? सर पीएमजीसी मेन इवेंट कब स्टार्ट होगा? आई गेस दिसंबर में स्टार्ट होगा. गाइस जिसको पता है मेन इवेंट की डेट एक बार बता देना. वैसे मैं अभी जस्ट यहाँ पे सर्च करके ही हटा था. पीएमजीसी 2023, पीएमजीसी 2023. गाइस जिन लोगों को नहीं पता है, टुडे इज द लास्ट चांस, डे 1 एंड लास्ट चांस. ग्रैंड फाइनल्स जो है, ग्रैंड फाइनल्स आपका 8 दिसंबर से है, जो कि 10 दिसंबर तक चलेगा. एंड इट्स अ न्यू थिंग दैट कि पीएमजीसी इस बार दिसंबर पे ही रैप अप किया जा रहा है, वरना ओ माय गॉड, इस बार दिसंबर में ही रैप अप कर रहे हैं भाई. 8 से 10 दिसंबर को. ओके, ये तो करना पड़ेगा भाई वॉच पार्टी. गाइज लास्ट चांस है आज. ये टीम्स खेल रहे हैं आपकी स्क्रीन के सामने, जो भी आ रही है: बीएफ, बीटीआर, डीएस, डीएक्स, फेज, जीजी, आईएचसी. इनमें से कोई 5 टीम क्वालिफाई होगी, रेस्ट ऑफ द टीम्स आउट होगी. तो बहुत सारे सेटबैक्स आपको देखने को मिलने वाले इस बार के पीएमजीसी. अमलान मिश्रा ने हमको टेक्स्ट भेजा है जीपे में. वाओ, आपके मैसेज तो हम यहाँ भी पढ़ लेंगे भाई. अगर आप जीपे देख रहे हो, जीपे में पैसा भेजो भाई, खुला पैसा. समझ रहे हो गाइस? जीपे में चलना चाहिए खुला पैसा. हेलो, कैसे हो गाइस? भाई नोवा के बारे में हेलो की भाई. सर पीएमजीसी मेन इवेंट कब स्टार्ट हो रहा है? दिसंबर 8, 9, 10 को. अजय कुमार. पीएमजीसी में इंडिया स्लॉट ब्रो नहीं, इस बार नहीं है. इंडिया का क्या सेम टीम? कोई टीम नहीं है ब्रो. मैच कितने बजे है? मैच ब्रो, मैच स्टार्ट होने वाला है. रुको, बस 9 मिनट के अंदर. तो मैं थोड़ा सा तब तक मैंने सोचा आपके साथ बातचीत कर लूं. इंडिया से कोई टीम नहीं है मेरी भाई, इंडिया से कोई टीम नहीं है. देयर इज नो इंडियन टीम. भाई डी प्लस किया, क्वालिफाई नहीं हुआ. विनी गुप्ता नहीं डी प्लस किया, एलिमिनेटेड फ्रॉम द पीएमजीसी 2023 रेस. एंड इवन दे आर हैशटैग 7, आई गेस 17 क्या था, कल मैं देख रहा था रैंकिंग. आई गिव नेक्स्ट पीएमडब्ल्यूआई में इंडियन टीम्स खेलेगी ना? आई डोंट नो ब्रो, आई थिंक नो. परमिशंस इंडिया के एरिया में डीके जितना और बीएमजीसी में क्वालिफाई नहीं किया. अरे ना, अरे मंडल भाई, आप किस टूर्नामेंट को कहाँ पे कैसे कंपेयर कर रहे हो भाई? वो कंपैरिजन बनता ही नहीं है जो आप कंपेयर कर रहे हो. कल मैं यही चीजें देख रहा था. लोग लिख रहे थे कि इंडिया वर्सेस कोरिया चैंपियंस डी प्लस किया. नो डाउट उन्होंने जीता अभी, तभी वो टैग उनके सामने लगा है, क्योंकि एक इंडिया में भी डी प्लस किया को काफी लोगों ने आफ्टर दैट इवेंट देखा कि हाँ भाई बहुत अच्छी टीम है, डी प्लस किया ग्लोबल टीम्स है. हम या कई लोग ऐसे जो उनको पहले से भी जानते थे, तो वहां पे आपने देखा. तो उसके बाद लोग कंपेयर कर रहे हैं कि वो पीएमजीसी से बाहर हो गई, उसकी चैंपियन थी. गाइस ये मैटर नहीं करता यार. मैटर करता है लाइक एक नया स्टेज, एक नया लाइक कंपटीशन, नई टीम्स, नई लॉबी. वहां पे आपको बेस्ट देना पड़ेगा, तभी आप आगे जाओगे. शायद कुछ चीजें रही होगी वो बेस्ट नहीं दे पाए, इसलिए वो आगे का पार्ट नहीं हो पाए. बट डोंट कंपेयर. ऐसा मत बोलो कि इंडिया वर्सेस कोरिया में डीके जीता और पीएमजीसी पे क्वालिफाई नहीं कर गया, ये मत बोलो. हर एक जगह सिचुएशन डिफरेंट होती है. आई आई थिंक एसटी चैंपियन इन पीएमजीसी. लेट्स सी ब्रो, पीएमजीसी एसटी बन जाए तो मजा आ जाएगा भाई. इन द सेंस ऑफ कि लाइक मोस्ट कंसिस्टेंट टीम ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, ऑफ द ग्लोबल, दैट इज एसटी. जो उनके एक्शन टॉप, अभी 2 प्लेयर एडिशन, इवन आफ्टर 2 प्लेयर चेंज होने के बावजूद दे आर फाइटिंग टू मच. हेलो भाई आफ्टर लॉन्ग टाइम। हेलो ड्रैगो भाई, क्या हाल चाल? इफ यू आर द रियल ड्रैगो देन सेंड मी सुपर चैट, तभी समझूंगा रियल हो। एनी अदर इनविटेशनल टूर्नामेंट लाइक इंडिया वर्सेस केआर, मोस्ट प्रोबेबली आपको देखने को शायद मिल जाए या नहीं मिले। क्या लगता है? हाँ वो अच्छा खेली है, 4M भी अच्छा खेली है। मैं ज्यादा नहीं देख पाया बट दे प्लेड रियली गुड। मेरे को टाइम नहीं मिला, पीएमजीसी के मैचेस ऑनेस्टली इतने देखे नहीं है खास, बट उन्होंने अच्छा खेला है यार। एज एन लाइक मेरे को लगा नहीं था कि हाथ ही फाड़ देंगे, बट अच्छा किया। भाई मैं यही बता रहा था, मैं बोल रहा था कि पीएमजीसी में 10.10 जोन ऑल्सो। भाई नोवा क्यों नहीं खेल रहा? नोवा इसलिए नहीं खेल रहा क्योंकि वो क्वालिफाई नहीं कर रहा था। पीएमपीएल की जगह पीएमएसएल होने वाला है। क्या पीएमपीएल रिमूव? यस ब्रो, पीएमएसएल होने वाला है अभी। आगे आने वाला टाइम थोड़ा सा अभी पीएमएसएल ही चलेगा, पीएमपीएल रिमूव हो रहे, सुनने में आया था। कमेंट ऑन डीआरएस डाउनफॉल, आई डोंट नो ब्रो, इंटरनल मैटर्स में भी कुछ चीजें होंगी, चीजें नहीं हो पा रही है, जो वो चाह रहे हैं यही होगा। कुछ इंटरनल चीजें होंगी जो उनको अच्छे से पता होगी। टीडब्ल्यूएम निंजे, इंडिया वर्सेस नेपाल कमिंग सून अकॉर्डिंग टू अंश वाइटी। ओ नाइस, अगर ऐसा होता तो मजा आने वाला है गाइस, क्योंकि इंडिया और नेपाल जब पीएमपीएल में भी लड़ते थे फैन बेस अलग लड़ते थे, एंड अब जब फिर से होगा तो फैन बेस एक्टिव होगा, ओल्ड वाला वही भाईचारा फिर से देखने को मिलेगा, मजा आएगा। भाई नोवा क्यों नहीं खेल रही? क्वालिफाई नहीं हुई भाई। आई ऑन बीटीआर एस टी बीटीआर को पहले क्वालिफाई भी होना पड़ेगा गाइस, जिन लोगों को नहीं पता है, जो भी नए लोग आए हो, दिस इज द पीएमजीसी लास्ट चांस। 48 टीम्स के लीग स्टेजेस के मैचेस हुए, मैं एक एक करके बता देता हूँ। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सबसे पहले ग्रुप स्टेजेस के मैचेस थे, जिसमें ग्रुप रेड ग्रीन एंड येलो थे, जिसमें हर एक ग्रुप में 16 टीम थी, सबको आप ऐड ऑन कर लेना। देन इनका ग्रुप स्टेज हुआ था, जिसमें से टॉप 3 टीम्स जो ग्रुप के अंदर थी वही ग्रैंड फाइनल्स के लिए क्वालिफाई करी थी। दैट इज लूप्स, अल्फा 7, स्टॉलवर्ट, एनएसआर, एसटी, MRPX, MP, 4MV, NWBG, ये जो भी 9 टीम्स है ये जा चुकी है पीएमजीसी की ग्रैंड फाइनल्स के लिए। बाकी इन टीम्स को सर्वाइवल स्टेज खेलने का मौका मिला था, जो अभी हम लास्ट चांस वगैरह हम बात कर रहे हैं। थैंक यू सो मच ड्रैगो भाई फॉर द 20 रुपीज सुपर चैट। तो दो ही बचा है गूगल प्ले में ड्रैगो भाई, आपसे ये उम्मीद नहीं थी बट चलो ठीक है। गाइस 4th टू 11th रैंक जितने भी ग्रुप की टीम्स थी, ये सारी टीम्स खेल रही थी आपका ग्रुप्स, जो सर्वाइवल स्टेज आप बोल सकते हो। तो जिसके बाद से सर्वाइवल स्टेज आपका हुआ ये, इसके बाद से गाइज आपकी ये टीम एलिमिनेट हो चुकी है। दैट इज बहुत बड़े नाम है। सेम 9 बहुत अच्छा खेला, D+ किया, जिनको आपने रिसेंटली इवेंट पे देखा था, इंडिया के अंदर क्लैश चैंपियंस भी थे, बट डोंट कंपेयर द टूर्नामेंट्स, ठीक है। NASR भी बाहर हो गई है। देन आपकी NBE स्पोर्ट्स, MLS, ऑल्टर ईगो लाइमैक्स बाहर हुई, बहुत ज्यादा दुख हुआ, पता नहीं क्यों कैसे क्या हो गया। देन NHP, हाइपर, NQE, सो ये टीम अभी बाहर हो चुकी है। अब गाइज ये जो 16 टीम्स बची हुई है, ये जो आपकी स्क्रीन के सामने आ रही है, आज ये खेलने वाली है आपका लास्ट चांस। तो लास्ट चांस मतलब मने लास्ट चांस, तो सिर्फ टॉप 5 टीम क्वालिफाई होगी, इनमें से कोई भी टीम बाहर हो सकती है, कुछ नहीं पता। This time PL teams have highest chances to win PMGC. Let's see views on Coops. बहुत बढ़िया भाई, बहुत बहुत ज्यादा बढ़िया प्लेयर है। ब्रो नोवा कहाँ से नहीं क्वालिफाई हुई? अपने रीजन से क्वालिफाई नहीं, PL ही क्वालिफाई नहीं कर पाई, बहुत ज्यादा उनके डाउनफॉल चले हैं। PMSL का लैन कहाँ होगा? PMSL का लैन अपने रीजन में होगा ना गाइस। दिस इज PEL टुडे INF एंड BTR। लेट्स सी ड्रैगो भाई, अगर आप रियल वाले हो तो आपको तो ज्यादा पता होगा PMSL कब कहाँ कैसे हो रहा है, तो बंदों को बता दो। हाँ, सो गाइज मैंने आपको एक छोटा सा ओवरव्यू दे दिया है। इवन मेरे को खुद नहीं पता है कौन सी टीम कैसा खेल रही है, बट मैंने फिर भी ओवरव्यू दे दिया। लास्ट लास्ट साल हमने क्योंकि सारा सिस्टम देखा था थोड़ा, उस बेसिस पे।
promoted, the middle six
चलो
are
भाई,
retained,
मैच इज
and the
अबाउट टू
bottom
स्टार्ट
20
विद इन
demoted.
3
If
मिनट्स।
you're trying to move up the ranks, be sure to stay within your ladder's retained threshold
हेलो
or higher
भूपेंद्र
before
पन्नू,
entering
दिस
the
PL
citadel.
टीम हाई चांसेस टू
Additionally,
विन।
ladder
ब्रू
groups
एक्स
can
मी,
only be promoted or demoted
मंडल
by
भाई
1
बोल रहे
group at a
BTR
time,
फर्स्ट डे
so your
अच्छा खेली,
performance in
सेकंड
the
डे से
second
चोक
round is
करती है।
crucial.
2 दिन
Be
का
sure
ही है
not to
गाइस,
miss it.
लास्ट
Final
चांस 2 दिन
showdown.
का ही है। यहाँ पे एक दिन भी अच्छा निकाल दो तो दूसरे दिन भी अच्छा खेलना पड़ेगा, नो डाउट। What do you think of PL teams? ब्रो अच्छी टीम्स है। PMSL लैन में भी इंडिया, नेपाल और इंडिया, आई डोंट नो ब्रो इसके बारे में। ग्रैंड फाइनल्स लाइव आपने ही बोला, किसी ने, अंश भाई ने बताया था कि इंडिया वर्सेस नेपाल होने वाला है, तो आई डोंट नो अगर होगा नहीं होगा। मुझे इंटर्न रख लो एक भी। अरे अरे इंटर्न क्या करोगे मेरे साथ, हम नूब ब्रो।
In-game awards include the Honor Title, Honor Name Tag, and Honor Avatar Frame, which are sure to make you stand out. Moreover, there are also physical trophies, interviews, custom-made popularity gifts, official social media promotion,
PMSL play on their regions. PMSL individually regions के लिए होगा by the way.
and outside the game. What are you waiting for? Participate in the 2023
Guys सबको बुला लो, लिंक शेयर कर दो।
That
That we are live after long time guys, we are live, so मैं also शेयर कर देता हूँ लिंक। हम बहुत लंबे लंबे टाइम बाद लाइव मार रहे हैं ना, एक लाइव करते हैं फिर चले जाते हैं। कूल बॉय जीजी का क्या सीन है? जीजी का कुछ सीन नहीं है ब्रो, आज देखेंगे जीजी का सीन, जीजी होता है नहीं होता है। लास्ट टाइम ये वही स्टेज है जहां से जीजी आउट हो गई थी गाइस, ये वही स्टेज है। 2 मिनट के अंदर स्टार्ट होने वाला है और ये वही स्टेज है लास्ट टाइम जहां से जीजी का जीजी हो गया था लास्ट टाइम। भाई आज गॉडल की मैचेस है। यस ब्रो जीजी, यस मिनट, let me share this link to my community tab, get post। Guys, here we go. Interview time. WBG और BT सेम पॉइंट्स थे, बट WBG गई SSI नो आई। हमारे साथ भी गाइस ये मैटर हुआ था, मैं समझ सकता। ये कॉम्पी खेलती थी गाइस, इसका नाम क्या है भूल गया। आई वो इस बार जीजी कर ले। यस ब्रो मैंने आपको फेस देखा, आप बहुत क्यूट हो। ओके ब्रो। गाइस फेस कैम करेंगे सून। सिस्टम 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 लग जाए हमारा तो हम सिस्टम कर देंगे फेस कैम करके। जीजी वन ऑफ द बेस्ट टीम है। लेट्स सी ब्रो, यहाँ प्रूफ करना पड़ेगा। लास्ट टाइम मेरे को याद आ रहा है वेम्पायर ने प्रूफ किया था ना, फर्स्ट डे बिल्कुल खत्म। और वेम्पायर का एक खास बात होता था लास्ट टाइम पे, वो लास्ट डे पे कमबैक मारती थी वेम्पायर। अभी तो बाहर हो गई है। फेस कैम नीडेड, सिस्टम करेंगे ब्रो, टेंशन ना लो।
championships of this international magnitude.
भाई नोवा का क्या सीन है ब्रो? नोवा है ही नहीं तो नोवा का सीन कुछ नहीं हो सकता। भाई वीडियो क्यों नहीं डाल रहे थे ब्रो? मैं वीडियो डालूंगा कल से पक्का 101%। या मैं सोच रहा हूँ फेस कैम करने को वीडियो पे, तो वो सेटअप वाला सीन हो नहीं पा रहा, पता नहीं क्यों। फेस कैम करने का मन हो रहा है। हाय नॉट अंश, व्हाट्स अप नॉट अंश? मैंने कहीं देखा है ब्रो, ये अपना पुराना बंदा है। वीपी आउट ऑफ द टूर्नामेंट। यस ब्रो आई नो, अनफॉर्चुनेटली।
Fighting for the top spot with us on the table, so I would be surprised if it's not BTR that's going to be a trouble for us.
Oh, okay, we're going to have to wait and see. Maybe you guys will be the strongest again, who knows? But if you get to choose all the teams to join you in the grand finals in
मैं हो
Turkey,
अभी तो घर पे भाई। भाई आप ब्लाइंड के भाई मैं भी भाई कोच है ब्लाइंड के। भाई नोवा क्वालिफाई नहीं कर पाए क्या?
E coloco também a BTR e a Pjev, que é dois times que
नहीं भाई नहीं कर पाए। हाई एंड TEC फाइनल में है क्या? हाई HI कौन है ये ब्रो? आप ही हो क्या ब्लाइंड के कुछ? मैं भी भाई है।
And I would also like to pick BTR and Pjev because it's also really strong teams that I have been following for a really long time.
I noticed, other than your preference, right? It's going to be mostly you looking high.
ये हाई कौन सी टीम है?
Any particular interest that you're taking more towards Indonesian teams, you know, their play style or whatever?
Porque que aí pareceria que você está muito interessado também nos times da Indonésia, né?
From 2014 DRS roster will be changed. Killer White Delta Sandesh frontline
Delta. Que eu acompanho mesmo ele faz muitos anos.
Landline Gold TSM Entity Wise.
Até tenho um leve contato. Acho que esse seria o principal mesmo que diferencia eles.
I think the main reason is that I've really been following for a long time these teams, and we even keep in touch sometimes. So
नटिंग
I
2
think
दिन
that
से
would be the
देखने आया
reason
हूँ
why I'm
बिकॉज आई
always
एम फ्री फ्रॉम
hoping that they do
स्टडीज
well too.
ओके
Now, I
नॉट
agree
एंस
with that
भाई
because they'll be one of the
आपको मैंने कहीं
pioneers starting
देखा है
off
यार हमने
back
आपके
in
साथ
the
कुछ
early
अच्छी
dawn of
बातचीत
PUBG
करी है
Mobile tournament scene. And I
फ्यूचर
talked to one of the players before. They feel like they're veterans enough. They
ये नाम
consider
मेरे को
themselves
सुना
as
सुना
seniors
लग रहा
in
है
this
नॉट
one right now.
अंश
Now, since
आई
we
डोंट नो
only have
बट
very short
अगर मैं
amount of
तुम्हारे साथ
time
हूँ
for
तो
you to
मॉडरेटर क्यों नहीं
prepare,
हो भाई
where everything is hanging in the balance for your team right now, where this is going to be the last chance stage. Now, with overnight
अच्छा
preparation,
हाई
what
मेरे
do
को
you
बोल रहे
have
हो
in mind,
अच्छा
and how do you guys manage to
हाँ
prepare in
टीसी
such a
ग्रैंड फाइनल्स में मेरी जान
amount of time?
हेलो
Porque vocês se
फिक्स हेल
prepararam
बॉय
desde ontem?
आई
Alguma
इनफ
coisa que mudaram
प्रो
de
डब्ल्यूबीजी
que
क्वालीफाई
vocês
होगी यस
prepararam
योगी
para
भाई कैसे हो
sair
भूल
dessa?
गए नेम नहीं
Eu
भाई
acho que esse
गुड
trabalho
बॉय
começa
गुड
bastante
गाय नहीं
tempo.
बोले
A gente já está preparado
माई
para jogar esse
प्रिडिक्शन टॉप
campeonato.
5 बीटीआर
O
जीजी
único
इन्फ्लुएंस मैड
mudança
एनिग्मा
e o preparo
गाइस सारी
diferente
तो तुमने
foi
फैन
mudar o
फेवरेट रख
split
दी
de
गुल
beira-mar.
बॉय चलो
Eu acho
देखते
que vai
आगे
ser
क्या
muito bom
होता
para o
है
nosso time. E acredito que seja isso. Vamos continuar fazendo com
मल्टी
20
यूनिवर्स
players
समझा नहीं मैं
e o Inf.
पैरा बॉय रिटायर हो गया क्या नहीं
I
मेरी
think
जान
our
वो
direction
एशियन
is
गेम्स खेल रहा था
I'm
गोल्ड
going
मेडल
for
लाया ना शायद
for a
बता
long
देना मेरे
time
को एक
now
बार
to
क्लियर
reach
करके
this moment. We could say that
इंटरनेशनल
yes, we
टीम प्ले
definitely
विद वन
changed
आइजल
our
3
top
असॉल्टर
spot for
एसटी विल बी
Pmgc,
इन टॉप 5
and I
पीएमजीसी
think it's
फॉर
going to be
श्योर
good
लेट्स
for
सी
us.
भाई वो
The
मोस्ट
rest is
कंसिस्टेंट
we're
टीम
going to try to
आदित्य
do our
भाई
best,
कर निकाल ही
obviously, and of
लेगी
course go
मेरे को सुनने
eventually.
में आया उनका शेड्यूलिंग भी
Okay,
काफी
so I
बहुत
assume
बढ़िया है
there's
भाई
going to be
उन्होंने
all
अपना
fight for
शेड्यूल
you
बहुत
guys
अच्छा रखा
today
हुआ है
then, because they're going to go
मैं बात कर रहा
ready
था
and
किसी से
influence all the teams to fight
राम नमस्ते
alongside with them.
नमस्ते ब्रो
Thank you so
क्या हाल
much,
चाल
Influence
नॉट
Rage
अंश आई
Mo,
गेस
and
ओल्ड
also,
मॉडरेटर
sir, I call you so Andres.
मुझे
Thank you
लग
so
रहा है यार
much.
नॉट अंश
It's
था
lovely to
मॉडरेटर
have
बट ये
you
नई
guys
आईडी
with
से
us
आया है
Thank you.
हेलो वेदांत चाल के ब्रो क्या हाल चाल मैच इज अबाउट टू स्टार्ट इधर थे टीसी फ्लावर सी मैं पैराबॉय को ढूंढने गया था पैराबॉय
Now,
ढूंढ रहा
all
था मैं
set
यार
and
कहाँ है
done, but it's
पैराबॉय
down to
लंबे टाइम से
action and
दिखा नहीं
execution for
तो
these
यस
teams
नाउ
with
पैराबॉय
their
इज
fate
इन
hanging
नोवा
in the balance. Only
हाय ब्रदर गुड
5
टू सी यू इन
teams.
लव
Well, say
थैंक यू
hi to
ब्रो
Jackie,
क्रिश
and the
लवा
others
बाई
will
नोवा
have to say
ड्रैगो नहीं
goodbye.
एसटी टॉप
And it's
ओल्ड
going to be
मोड
a tighter race
है
than
यहाँ
before,
का
since there's a very limited slots up there for the grand final. So who will be on top? Will they have enough to survive for the entire 2 days straight? Now we're going to toss it back to
ST
Carson
for
Sam
win
for
let's
today.
go
See
bro
you guys in the next interview.
where are you bro all good TC Flower C I was busy with my team bro that's why I was not putting any content to this channel but I'll promise you guys I'll put some good content अच्छा content in this channel बस मैं face cam का वेट कर रहा हूँ मैं नहीं था यही आईडी मेरी थी लोल ओके ब्रो क्या लगता है जीजी इतना वीक है प्लेसमेंट में तो पता नहीं यार मैं देख के बिना कैसे बताऊंगा सुनने में आया कुछ मैं कल बात कर रहा था किसी से तो सुनने में ऐसा आया था कि जीजी काफी ज्यादा एज पे फंस रही है अब पता नहीं कितना झूठ है कितना लेट है हाउ मेनी टीम्स विल क्वालिफाई टॉप 5 ओनली ब्रो ओनली टॉप 5 विल क्वालिफाई टू द ग्रैंड फाइनल्स मात्र सिर्फ 5 कोई भी टीम बाहर हो सकती है डे 1 बहुत क्रूशल होगा बट मेरे अकॉर्डिंगली यार डे 2 क्रूशल होगा 2 दिन तो है लास्ट टाइम मेरे को याद आ रहा है वेम्पायर ने डे 2 में कमबैक मार के टॉप 5 बना लिया था इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग so anything can possible मंगोलिया रीजन बहुत स्ट्रांग है दे आर गुड इन यस टेकिंग फाइट्स दे आर टू गुड एनवी पैराबॉय हेलो ब्रो आपको सब पूछ रहे पैराबॉय वेयर आर यू से हाई टू योर ऑडियंस टेक्निकल हेल्पर लक्सी जक्सी पोसिया में है यस बीटीआर इज चोकिंग पता नहीं ब्रो देखना पड़ेगा भूपेंद्र पन्नू योर फेवरेट टीम इन पीएमजीसी डब्ल्यूबीजी फॉर श्योर ड्रैगो थैंक 5 टीम्स अरे 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 पेंगी 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 भाई ये क्या रिएक्शन पे वो हुआ है
potentially dominate a lobby like we're seeing some of the teams do just yesterday, not like D+. And then
ड्रैगो भाई हाय ब्रो व्हाट्स अप ये क्या हो रहा है सीन तो सॉर्टेड है ये ऑफिशियल की स्ट्रीम में फंस गई क्या
potentially dominate a lobby like we're seeing some of the teams do just yesterday, not like D+. And then
ये ऑफिशियल का ही पंगा हो गया कुछ ईडी लगा दूं
Grand Final PMGC siapapun itu sebenarnya dan kalau melihat dari peta kekuatan kali ini gue bukan berdasarkan
ओके गाइस
drop zone kemudian juga habit
हेलो वी तू धोखेबाज
peta kekuatan gue yang sudah gue
फाइनली विद अयोगी भाई इज बैक हेलो आदर्श भाई क्या हाल चाल
baru gue
इंग्लिश स्ट्रीम का तो जीजी हो गया है
potentially dominate a lobby like we're seeing some of the teams
अब
do
फंस
just
जाएगा
yesterday, not like D+. And then
हाँ इंग्लिश जीजी हो गाइस, कौन सी स्ट्रीम लगाऊं? इंग्लिश का तो जीजी हो गया। विच लैंग्वेज यू वांट टू वॉच? इंग्लिश स्ट्रीम का तो जीजी हो गया है।
pick one up and potentially dominate a lobby like we're seeing some of the teams do just yesterday, not like D+. And then
ये इंग्लिश स्ट्रीम का गाइस, इनका कुछ इशू आ रहा है। इंडोनेशिया लगा रहा हूँ,
Sorry
बीच
juga
में
bermain
इंग्लिश
di
स्विच
Grand
कर
Final
लूंगा।
PMGC. Siapapun itu sebenarnya. Dan kalau melihat dari peta kekuatan kali ini gue bukan berdasarkan drop zone kemudian juga heavy segala macam, tapi gue
ये
dari
क्वालिफाइड
peta
होगी कि
kekuatan
नहीं
gue
ब्रो?
yang
देखो
sudah
व्यूज ऑन
dilakukan
4 MV बहुत
ini
अच्छा खेल,
berdasarkan
नेट
map
ने
ya.
नेट
Ini
नहीं
berdasarkan
ब्रो, ये
baru
उनका
gua
इशू है अपना वहां से।
Oh,
Jadi
oke.
cek sendiri.
Jadi
रॉयल
untuk
स्टेज से
oh
कितनी
gitu.
टीम
Ini
गई
memang
है और
benar-benar
लास्ट
ada
चांस कितनी है
keterbatasan
ब्रो?
dan juga
सर्वाइवल
kita sendiri
स्टेज
kan
लास्ट
juga
चांस
mengenai
में ब्रो
junior
16
sendiri
टीम्स
kan
है,
kita
16 में
juga
से
mengenai
5
junior
क्वालिफाई
sendiri. Tapi
होगी।
oke, lu expect ada perubahan apa untuk hari ini, Jan?
भाई नाविड इज
Kalau
बैंड हो
gua
गई,
udah
लेकिन
mulai tradisi
ठीक है
yang
भाई।
lagi bermain, kemudian juga ada beberapa expected pertemuan drop spot. Gua rasa berkata junior tadi one of the
भाई
first team
ऐसे
akan
तो
dilakukan
थोड़ा
oleh Pmgc yang punya
कंसिस्टेंट हो
kesempatan
जाओ
untuk bermain
प्लीज
dengan luar biasa.
ब्रो,
Ada 3
हो
drop
रहे
spot,
हैं
bahkan ada 8
कंसिस्टेंट,
lagi
टेंशन ना
menunjukkan
लो,
beberapa
रोज
gem
लाइव
untuk
सेशन
drop
किया
spot yang
करेंगे,
ada. Tadi juga dari seorang
ठीक
Lao,
है।
dari influence Rage udah mengatakan dia pun pindah.
थाई
Ini menurut
लगाऊं
Al,
थाई?
jadi sangat bijak untuk dilakukan ketimbang melakukan fight fight tidak perlu di bagian awal. Yang kedua, behavior atau fear-nya dekat dari pergerakan itu nggak mungkin
लो
terelak.
गाइज, ये फॉर्मेट है। देखो मैंने वैसे समझा दिया था मोटा मोटी। देखो 16 16 16 के 3 ग्रुप बने थे, रेड येलो और ग्रीन। इसमें ज्यादा अच्छे से समझ नहीं आएगा, न्यू ऑडियंस आ रही है जिनको इस पीएमजीसी का कुछ पता ही नहीं है। वैसे पता तो मेरे को भी नहीं है, बट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ प्रीवियस सीजन में आपको बता रहा हूँ। तो गाइज इस बार सबसे पहले ग्रुप स्टेज हुआ था। ग्रुप स्टेज पे आपकी जो टीम्स है, 3 ग्रुप बने थे, ग्रीन रेड एंड येलो। जो ग्रुप ड्रॉ होता है 16 टीम्स जिन्होंने आपस में बैटल किया, जिसमें से गाइज हर एक ग्रुप से जो टॉप 3 टीम थी, #1 2 एंड 3, ग्रीन रेड और येलो, उनको एक एडवांटेज क्या हुआ कि वो डायरेक्टली क्वालिफाई कर गए फॉर द ग्रैंड फाइनल्स, जो भी 8 तारीख को होना है पीएमजीसी का। बाकी की जो टीम्स थी 4 रैंक टू 11 रैंक, वो आपकी पहुंची थी नेक्स्ट राउंड के लिए, जो आपका सर्वाइवल स्टेज है, जो भी हम देख रहे हैं हर एक ग्रुप से। बाकी ये टीम अर्ली स्टेज पे आउट हो गई थी 12 से लेके जो आपकी 16 रैंक की टीम थी, जिसमें टाइटन, फैल्कन, BRA, I8, जिया, IG, NR, 7E, हेल, KP, वेम्पायर फर्स्ट स्टेज से आउट हो गई थी, DMR ग्रुप स्टेज से, जी, DRS एंड BNS। तो गाइस जो ये टीम हुई थी ना 4 रैंक से 11 रैंक तक, ये आपका सर्वाइवल स्टेज में अभी हाल ही में बैटल करी है, जिसमें से ये टीम्स बाहर हो गई है। सेम9, DK, D+ किया, पता है आपको बताने की जरूरत नहीं है, NSR, NB स्पोर्ट्स, MLS, ये। अब बची है गाइस ये 16 टीम्स जिनका आज मैच है। अब इनमें से गाइस सिर्फ टॉप 5 है जो ग्रैंड फाइनल्स जाएगी। जो ग्रीन दिख रहा है, अभी मैच स्टार्ट नहीं हुआ है, मैच स्टार्ट होने दो, जो टॉप 5 है वही जाएगी आगे। ये टीम्स है, बाकी आप देखो, मैचेस देखेंगे साथ में, अब देखते क्या सीन होता है क्या नहीं होता है।
Kadang-kala tidak hanya dilihat secara spesifik, tapi secara
समझे कि नहीं
general
समझे?
mentality juga
मजाक
bisa
खत्म।
dilakukan.
यस, ही
Tadi
रिजॉइंड।
sebelum mulai kita live streaming hari ini, gue sempat
स्ट्रीम फिक्स होगी, इंग्लिश स्ट्रीम भी फिक्स होगी है।
Reaching the late game. Sure, they're a little bit lackluster on the elimination side of things, but when it comes to making it in strong positions, they can do that on a really
Highest
consistent basis.
elimination,
So
top
when they
4
win,
fraggers,
who knows, they might be able to make it top five. So I'm
Influence
hoping
Rage
they
from
find
Brazil,
making
then
it
Mad
top five.
Bulls, then Mongolia की IHC and NGX. कल स्प्रे गॉड को देखे क्या? देखा भाई, देखा। बान वाला फाइट बोल रहे हो ना आप? देखा कल इनको शॉटगन्स वाले। ब्रो आपने न्यू पीसी ले लिया? नहीं ब्रो, पीसी नहीं लिया, वही ओल्ड वन है। हेलो राशिद भाई, आफ्टर अ लॉन्ग टाइम आई एम सीइंग द IHC from your chat box. The old members of this channels. भाई एक्शन वर्सेस ओसाल, व्हाट्स योर फेवरेट प्लेयर? एक्शन वर्सेस ऑल दोनों अपनी जगह बेस्ट है, बट आई विल चूज एक्शन, क्योंकि ये जो एक्शन टॉप, ये जो ST के बंदे हैं ना, ये कुछ अलग लेवल है भाई। इतना कंसिस्टेंट रहना थ्रू आउट द ईयर भाई। मैं कब से देख रहा हूँ इस लाइनअप को भाई, कितना कंसिस्टेंट है ये। एस्ट्रा अकेडमी से अभी तक भाई इन्होंने मतलब डाउनफॉल देखा ही नहीं है भाई। मतलब पता नहीं आगे क्या होगा, बट अभी तक it's been fucking 3 to 4 years bro. They are dominating every regionals, every globals, even they are in top 5. So it's a huge thing bro, अगर कोई टीम इतने लंबे टाइम तक सस्टेन कर रही है, समझ रहे हो? मतलब उस टीम में खास बात है। काफी टीम्स तो अभी नई देखने को आपको मिल रही होगी, जैसे इनको हो गए, आपने लास्ट टाइम से देखना स्टार्ट किया होगा। आई डोंट नो प्लेयर्स, क्या पता पहले भी खेले, मेरे को याद आ रहा है शायद खेले होंगे, बट एज अ टीम बहुत बढ़िया। Brother, you are no mills with your Turkish champions. No, bhai. ST Grand Finals. Weimar was really good. Yes, D plus key out of this show where Indian team stand. अरे आदित्य भाई, don't compare bro. ये बहुत गलत चीज जो आपने बोली. Hello शुभम भाई. Mongolia and Brazil region are most strong region. Yes, you can say currently, yeah, they are best. They are one of the best. क्या लगता है कौन होगी टॉप 5? हेलो विवेक भाई, क्या हाल चाल? गाइस, अपने ओल्ड बंदे जो भी आ रहे हैं ना शगुन के साथ, यूपीआई शगुन सुपर चैट्स के साथ आओ, बरसा दो. फील डिफरेंट ब्रो. एनजीएक्स पोजीशन ब्रो, कोई पोजीशन नहीं है अभी. अभी पोजीशन अभी आएगी. आप टीमें बाहर होने वाली है, टेंशन ना लो. करंटली रिजल्ट इज प्लेइंग बेटर देन एक्शन. आदित्य सिंह ओके ब्रो, देखा नहीं लंबे टाइम से. अगर ऐसा है तो टीम वर्क मैटर्स करता है ब्रो. कोई भी अच्छा खेले, टीम जीतनी चाहिए. बाकी गुड है, सही है. एसटी विल डिफरेंट ब्लाइंड इंडिया एक ही टीम है जो ग्लोबल में परफॉर्म कर सकती है. सिस्टम शिवम भाई करेगी. टॉप 5 बताओ अपने योगी भाई. देखा ही नहीं, क्या बताऊं टॉप 5 यार. ऐसी मेरे लिए टॉप 5 गाइस, जो टॉप 5 नहीं, मैं बोलूंगा इन्फ्लुएंस से मेरे को है कि शायद वो अच्छा कर लेगी. इन्फ्लुएंस से लग रहा है मेरे को. इन्फ्लुएंस और जीजी, ये 2 टीम बोलूंगा. टॉप 5 नहीं, टॉप 2. बीटीआर का सिक्का चलता है तो मारते, नहीं चलता तो नहीं मारते. जीटीआर से उम्मीद थी, अब वो भी नहीं 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 नहीं, नहीं भाई. जीटीआर को मत समझना भाई. जी आदित्य भाई, जीटीआर इज टू मच गुड टीम भाई. जो कॉन्फिडेंस है ना जीडीआर में इंडिया लॉबी पे भी फाइट्स लेने का ब्रो, वो बहुत कम टीम्स में आपको देखने को मिलेगी वो चीजें. जीडीआर को कभी भी कम मत समझना. जीडीआर ने जो ग्राइंड किया है ना, मैं सबको यही बोलता हूँ कि जो उन्होंने जब जैसी बैन के बाद से गेम आई थी, जो उन्होंने फाइट्स में जो किया है ना, अपना कॉन्फिडेंस आप बोल सकते हो, दिखता है. कई बार अल्फा 7 जैसी टीम्स जिस अप्रोच में फाइट लेती ना, वो अप्रोच दिखता है जीडीआर के अंदर. तो डोंट अंडर एस्टिमेट जीडीआर. इवन कोई भी टीम को अंडर एस्टिमेट मत. Bro, look for Rook. They are underdog from Africa region. Nice. Most of the champion teams of regions are out. Yes, in PMWY. इस बार का थोड़ा मेरे को पीएमजीसी ठंडा भी लग रहा है. हमारी वॉचिंग 100 की आ रही है, नो डाउट. चलो, तो मेरी गलती है कि मैंने स्ट्रीम नहीं करी, 1 साल से ऑलमोस्ट होने वाला है. बट फिर भी यार पीएमजीसी वाइब्स नहीं आ रही है. इस क्या सीन है ये? सॉरी टू से, बट इस बार थोड़ा सा सीन तो हुआ है. काफी आपकी फेवरेट टीम्स पहले आउट हो गई है, तो लोगों ने देखना बंद कर दिया. वेम्पायर फर्स्ट स्टेज से आउट हुई, लोगों ने देखना बंद कर दिया. जो इसपो सोजी फैंस है वही देख रहे हैं. क्या बोलते हो इलिप्स भाई? भाई हमको भूल गए? नहीं नहीं इलिप्स भाई, आपको कैसे भूलेंगे भाई. बीएमपीएस नहीं देख रहा क्या? उसमें क्या चल रहा, कुछ बताओ. एंड वेम्पायर को क्या हुआ? बीएमपीएस देखा ना ब्रो. बीएमपीएस में अभी हाइड्रा ने टॉप करा, टीटी ने टॉप करा, थर्ड पे ब्लाइंड है, देन जीडीआर है, देन टीएक्स है. देखा ना, क्यों नहीं देखा भाई? हाइड्रा के प्लेयर्स सही है भाई, ये खेल रहे तो सही है ब्रो. टॉप 5 आईएचसी बीटीआर जीजी इन्हें परसिया. देखो या परसिया और बीटीआर का गाइस दोनों का यही सीन है. चले तो चले, ना चले तो फिर ना चले वाली बात है. और ऊपर से 2 दिन का टूर्नामेंट है. चलेंगे तो फाड़ देंगे, नहीं चलेंगे तो नहीं फाड़ेंगे. वो कमबैक वाला सीन बहुत कम होता है, जो वेम्पायर ने एक बार करके दिखाया था. एकदम से 14वीं रैंक से #5 आ गए, वो चीजें कम होती है. Last 3 years are dominated by Chinese team. Last year Brazil team is Mongolian and dominated. Yes, notification नहीं जा रही. हेलो इताची भाई, क्या हाल चाल? अनफॉलो करके वो कर लो, सब्सक्राइब करके अनसब्सक्राइब हो जाएगा. ब्राजीलियन टीम्स आर डूइंग बेटर. यस भाई, इंडिया की टीम को मौका ही नहीं मिला स्टेज पर. क्यों ब्रो? अपने मैटर्स है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. आने वाले टाइम पे कुछ हो जाएगा. कल लास्ट मैच देख मिलेगा. करंटली बीएमपीएस पीएमजीसी क्यूसी वर्ल्ड चैंपियंस ब्रॉल स्टार्स. क्या देखूं? अरे सीओसी से मेरे को याद आया, सीओसी मैं भी देख रहा था. PL is only region that give PMGC different teams every time. Bro, Loops esports teams को so roster. भाई Loops को तो appreciation मिलता है, काफी अच्छा खेल रही है. Winner of this PMPL events are out of the PMGC. PMSL के champion out. PMPL Thailand, PMPL Malaysia, PMPL Wildcard, PMPL PK, MIA Championship, PMPL Africa, PMPL Arabia, PMPL EU, PMPL Turkey, European Champions, PMPL Latam are out from the league, guys. Indian audience GG इक्वल टू नावी इक्वल टू HVVP। यस मेरी जान, यस वो BTR करेगी बट वो नहीं कर पाएगी। ओके चलो गाइस, मैच इज अबाउट टू स्टार्ट विद इन 30 सेकंड, लेट्स गो। ओहो मस्ती कर रहे हैं। टोटल एलिमिनेशन किसका है? PMGC का फॉल मैचेस का बता दो। आयोगी ब्रो क्या हाल, खबर और ब्लाइंड का क्या हाल है? शेख इजाज भाई एकदम बढ़िया, आप कैसे हो? तो विनिंग अ रीजन इज नॉट दैट यू आर द बेस्ट इन द वर्ल्ड, रनअप्स आर क्वालिफाइड फॉर नेक्स्ट स्टेजेस। यस ब्रो। अरे राम राम आयोगी भाई, जय श्री राम नु भाई चल। मैं तो CRL वर्ल्ड क्लैश रॉयल लीग देख रहा था। ओके हेलो आयोगी भाई, कैसे हो? एकदम बढ़िया। सबसे ज्यादा एलिमिनेशन किसका? PMGC का। बता देगा ब्रो ऑडियंस पे। लो गाइस, मैच इज अबाउट टू स्टार्ट। सिस्टम कर दो फर्स्ट मैच। शैनॉक आपकी स्क्रीन के सामने। लेट्स गो। कौन है ये प्लेयर? जीजी कौन सी टीम है? अरे वही नावी टिक्सी वाली टीम है। ओ माय गॉड। लेट्स गो। फ्लाइट पाथ मोंगनई से लेके कैंप अल्फा के ऊपर। कैंप अल्फा तो ऑल्टरी को जाती थी, कब कौन लेना स्टार्ट कर दिया है। ऐसे ही जैरो के साथ कबर जाएंगे 6 to 8। लेट्स गो बॉयज। किसको सपोर्ट कर रहे हो फर्स्ट मैच? कमेंट करके बताओ। मुझे पता है तुम BTR, इवोस, पर्सिया, GG और इन्फ्लुएंसी बोलने वाले, फिर भी बता दो। मैं इस बार लाइन में ब्लाइंड को चीयर करने आ रहा। आओ भाई, बिल्कुल मस्त मिलेंगे भी लाइन पे। हेलो योगी ब्रो, क्या हाल चाल? सुना है PMS चलाने वाला है। यस प्रवीण भाई, बिल्कुल सही सुना है। इन्फ्लुएंस के कोई क्लैश नहीं, बढ़िया। फेज हातिन बहुत ज्यादा बढ़िया। GG कैंप अल्फा। ओके टेम्पल पकड़ा है। टीम कुस्सू भी जा रही है। रूइंस में क्लैश है क्या मैडबुल्स का? यस मैडबुल का क्लैश। दूसरी टीम कौन सी? इनको जंक्शन किसी ने नहीं लिया। जा रही है RC जंक्शन लिए। वॉइस उठा दूं कि ठीक है? बताओ।
I remember them suffering some heavy casualties here towards Ruins, and it did ruin their chance for.
आगे भाई, इस बार लैंड पे अहमदाबाद में, और अहमदाबाद से हूं मैं। बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया, बढ़िया। हाय हाय, दिस इज कॉल्ड द मैप रीडिंग ब्रो। नाइस वन NGX सामने जाती है ना। This is called the guys map inputs and map reading, जो काफी अच्छे से NGX ने करी।
And Squash will find Frozen with the explosion on the vehicle, probably alongside, assisted by that nade, and then Ebeche opens up onto Fleek. Just 2 players remaining. Vector does good work, but that drops them down to 1 now, Jackie.
Last बंदा बचा है मैड का।
About cleaning up now.
NGX के बंदे भी क्लोज इन करना स्टार्ट कर दिए।
This one with lots of casualties into the 1v1 effectively. Zerich looking for the peek round the corner, trying to bait it off the contact from his teammate.
गया पड़ी।
With the clear.
Nice one.
इनको on the fadeaway, and Mad Bulls go down quick.
Suffering to Inco there. Managed to all pick up.
अरे मुझे कोई और भी दिखा।
Made the fight a lot easier with some nice nades placed in there by Squash. I wonder if it was actually a gas canister that took down Frozen at the
Typical
end of it.
NGX star player of Mad Bulls। बस ब्रो अब स्टार प्लेयर्स तो अब नेक्स्ट मैच पे दिखाना पड़ेगा। ड्रॉप क्लैश ले लिया है भाई।
They knew that they're close by down towards the south side in Sami. They sent 2 players up to investigate. Potentially, they might have got themselves even a quick elimination off the back of that. But nothing found, but it is Inco to go on, this time with 3 players.
NGX के बंदों ने सही चीज करी। इनको पता था कि इनका फाइट होगा। इन्फो मिल जाता है। Meanwhile, RC आज सारी की सारी टीम्स यहाँ पे फुल स्टडी करके आई है, लग रहा है मेरे को। That is called a strategical gameplay, guys. अभी आपको समझाएंगे थोड़ा सा। The scenario was, अरे विवेक भाई गिफ्टेड 5 अयोगी गेमर मेंबरशिप, क्या बात है गाइस। फ्री मेंबरशिप मिल रही है, क्लेम कर लो। ओ माय गॉड, क्लेम कर भी ली।
So with him out
थैंक यू
of
सो मच
commission so early, could
विवेक
come
भाई,
back
आपने
to
जो
bite
किया
them
है
in the
इसका मेरे को
bottom rank,
बेनिफिट है
makes
या
it
ऑडियंस को
harder
बेनिफिट है, ये
already
बताओ.
being down to just 3 players rather than the 4
मुझे भी
off the
कराओ
back of the
गाइस,
get-go.
मेंबरशिप लो
Yeah,
गाइस,
you
सारे
never want that
मेंबरशिप
to
लो, मैं
happen.
खुश
They're
हो
running
जाऊंगा
directly
गाइस.
over towards Gladiators now, who did
हाँ
drop
तो
down
गाइज
in
यहाँ
from
पे
that
फर्स्ट
south, that
इनिशियल
north
इनपुट्स
side.
मैप के
They
अकॉर्डिंग
crossed
कुछ
the bridge
स्ट्रेटजीज बना के टीम्स
rather
ऑलरेडी
early
आई
here
थी,
into
जिसमें से मेरे को
position,
जीजीबी पार्ट
playing
लग रही है.
around
तो
this
स्ट्रेटजी
area. They
का
love
पार्ट
to head
ये
over
था कि
towards
लोगों को
Trifecta,
पहले ही
but
पता था
Influence
रूइंस में
Rage
फाइट
already
होने वाला है, तो
claimed that
एनजीएक्स ने पहले
position of
सोचा
the
था
map here,
कि
Jackie,
अपन
so
क्या करेंगे,
far.
एक बंदे
So
को उतार
Reject
के
stuck
थोड़ा देख
between
लेंगे सीन, अगर
Gladiators
डीप घुसने
and
वाला सीन होगा तो
Influence
अपन
Rage.
पुश
Incoming
बनाएंगे,
runes
प्रेशर
haven't
बनाएंगे,
quite
बाहर के
left
बंदों को
yet.
नॉक फिनिश निकाल लेंगे, अर्ली स्टेज पे कुछ करेंगे, वो सोच के आए थे.
Team Quace
सेकेंडली
opening
आरसी
well.
के बंदे
They've
बहुत
been
ज्यादा
doing a
स्प्लिट में
wide
कूदते
old
हैं, तो यहाँ पे
rotate, getting
इन्फ्लुएंस
a
रेंज के बंदे
swarm
कूदते
on.
हैं
It's
कहाँ
their
पे, बूट
nice
कैंप पे, तो
wet
उन्होंने,
down
उनको
in the
पता था कि
water,
उनका स्प्लिट
keeping
क्या रहता है.
themselves
और कई
clean
बार
for
अगर
now,
आपने अभी
looking
नोटिस
for
करा होगा,
their
जो आरसी के
rotate.
बंदे को मारा, वहां
OCO's
पे
just trying to
वो
get
काफी
the
ज्यादा
lay of the
स्प्लिट पे जाते
land
हैं.
in the sense
इन्फ्लुएंस
if
के
he's going to
बंदों ने
be peeked
एंगल्स
out
बनाए,
here. They
बंदों
have
को
made
ओपन में
it
पकड़ा,
onto the
कैंप
beach as
किया,
well,
मारा
so you
और
can
भाग गए
start
वहां
to
से.
clamber your way back up the dry land.
हिल से आए, बूट
Keep your
कैंप के
wits
वहां से,
about you as you are
बंदा
in
पकड़ा,
Gladiators
अकेला था और
territory.
भाग गए. जितने में दूसरा
Kitsune
बंदा आया
coming
उतने में
over
कुछ
the
मिला
ridge
ही नहीं.
there.
तो
Engine
नाइस
noise
स्ट्रेटजीज.
purring would have given up the game, so at
मैप
least they
इनपुट्स
are
पे खेल
aware
रहे हैं
that people
गाइस.
are close by, and Gladiators aren't sticking around for too long. So they get out of dodge, won't get stabbed in the back. They're able to go link up with the rest of the squad in
जीजी की
Metu and
टीम
Co,
का क्लैश होगा,
and
किसो के
potentially
साथ
look
इन्होंने
to
वो
fight
करी
further
होगी अपनी कि
forward
तुम
on
कैंप
the
अल्फा ले
field,
लेना,
Reject
टेंपल
now,
और
and look if they
टूर
can
का
maybe
एरिया हम
squeeze a
लेंगे.
few more
तो कुछ
points
ऐसा
out of them,
सीन होगा,
Blank, because
क्योंकि
they're
जीजी
so
ने टेंपल और
fragmented after
शोज लिया है.
losing Sara.
टीम को
There is
किस्सों को
potential
उन्होंने
for it.
ऊपर का एरिया दे दिया है. नोवा भी इस
I
बार
think
पीएमजीसी
for
में नहीं है. वो
Gladiators, it's good there that Kitsune regroups the team rather quickly, because there has been a few times where we'll see Kitsune go down really
इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग,
early.
आरसी क्या फाइनल ले रही
Arjun
थी, ड्रॉप आउट
pops a
मैंने देखी
nade
नहीं. अगर
over,
आरसी फाइनल ले रही
taking
थी
a
तो
lot of
उनका
damage
बंदा
over
एक
towards
आपका
Reject.
जंक्शन पे
DX,
कूद रहा है, एक बंदा कहाँ
incredibly
कूदा
good
है, इतना
team,
स्प्लिट लेते हैं क्या
really
ये.
performed outstandingly over their survival
आई
stage.
गेस
And
टीम
love to
रीड
see
करके
them
आई है
play.
अच्छे से
Does
इनको.
bounce the nade just a little bit, but somewhat
मैंने
of
पिछले
unfortunate
मैचेस
one
नहीं
gets
देखे.
caught
आई
on
एम
the
जस्ट
railings
डूइंग
there,
माय
Jackie.
एग्जॉप्शन.
It is what it is.
का ड्रॉप भी मेरे को
Couple
पता
of
नहीं है
bullets
क्या
to
है
play
आरसी
around with
का.
here with the S12K2, but everyone's really rocking those shotguns. Team Queso finds Meku,
आरसी का
immediately
ड्रॉप बताओ
flushes
गाइस.
him. And again, this is the case of what the guys on the desk talked about, is not getting caught off guard by Team Queso. This little cheeky rotation in the water up on towards the coastal side has really thrown Gladiators for a loop, and Reject even spot the happenings over on this side, but it will be OCO to hit the floor.
You can see the knock-on effect with how this has been going then. Gladiators move into Reject. You get the backstab coming up from the rear to at least deal a little bit of damage.
मेरे को कोई आइडिया नहीं चल रहा पीएल में.
Nice nade used to get in there. That was OCO that for quite some time has been separated from the rest of the team. This is the only remaining members of the Japanese squad now. Trapped upstairs in the compound with DX.
S2G's in finals, yes bro. S2G TCR in finals.
You've been eating damage from the nades as well. And that's always the speciality of DX. They're so damn good with the nades, Blank. And they prove
आएगा
it
लूफा
again
कहीं ना
here.
कहीं से.
Nice dash through the window. Lufa's really quite low. Wants to go for the hill, but has to play off Julo's contacts. So he
आरसी का
rotates over
स्प्लिट
to at
उनको ही
least
मरवा
assist
गया.
him
लोगों को
whilst he gets
रीडेबल था,
himself
लोगों ने उस
popped
हिसाब से
back up.
पहले ही
But you're
प्लानिंग करी
dealing
हुई थी
damage
आरसी
to
को
it
पकड़ने की.
and making them feel a bit
Nice one.
uncomfortable here. DX want to play it cleanly though. If you can find these last two players without any casualties, that's the dream scenario.
इसलिए गाइस बोलते हैं रीडेबल नहीं होना चाहिए. आप अगर आप रीडेबल रहोगे ना तो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली
weird and
टीम्स
odd
कुछ ना
moves
सोच
to
के
kind of
आपके सामने
maneuver
आ ही
themselves
जाएगी.
around Python with Ducksan off in the distance and DX taking a lot of angles here. It has been tough for Reject to get into position. In the meantime, Procedure Evos, they take a knock and a flush.
अरे नोवा नहीं है गाइस, नोवा नहीं है. ऑल्सो गाइस अगर आप चैनल के अंदर नए हो तो मेक श्योर टू हिट द लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब टू द चैनल.
Now they're looking for a little bit more, just chasing teams down there. You can see them setting themselves up for a nasty gatekeep on that south side versus Procedure Evos. BTR still have to move in too.
IHC on our screens now again as well. Yesterday, looking really crisp in their games during survival stage. Very confident with the gun skill, roaming and farming up an awful lot of points. Course correcting right now as they rotate round the outer edge. Seems like they might run into Yudu Alliance. A potential for
नोवा
a bit of
नहीं
a
है ब्रो, नोवा
battle
नहीं है. नोवा
there.
क्यों होगी गाइस? वह है ही
DX,
नहीं.
after always applying so much pressure, it seems like they've opted against overcommitting.
मजा आ रहा है गेम देखने गाइस.
The fight versus Reject, as they knew Ducksan were almost there as well. So they back off, go for a compound
मैप
instead,
दिखाया
and
क्या?
start to think towards the future, squaring away the points that they found, but not over-egging it.
Okay,
Team Queso
Queso.
back in a boat and into the blue once more, Blank. Their flank was only good for the one tag, so that's all they get from it.
Yeah, I think for Team Queso, maybe moving up the riverside here. Again, this is a difficult circle for a lot of teams. You
व्यूज
know,
ऑन टुडे
we
क्वार्टर
talked about
मैचेस
this
अच्छा खेलेंगे
yesterday in the
ब्रो और
sense
क्या
that
व्यूज
there
दूं
were
अब
some
देखते हैं एज
very
अ टीम नई टीम
easy
बनी है
circles
बट
to play
काफी
around
प्रॉमिसिंग
with
टीम
on
लग रही है
Sandrock and survival
अच्छा
stage,
खेल
where they were comparing
खेलेगी
themselves
ब्रो
up to any which
बिलीव रखो
island. We're in the
बिलीव रखो
last
अपनी
chance
टीम
now,
पे
of course.
क्यों
It has
भाई
to be a
ऐसा
bit
क्यों
more
नोवा को
rough for a lot of these squads, where this doesn't really confirm over towards the northwest, south, or eastern island. We're stuck in the middle of the
यार
confluence of the
ऑक्सी ने
rivers.
डाले होंगे
It's
ना
going to be
इसके
rough for
ड्रॉप्स
a lot
लेट
of
मी
these
चेक
teams.
कौन
Influence
कौन
Rage,
सी
though,
टीम
they get a
कहाँ
really
पे
good
कैसे
chance
ड्रॉप
off the
आउट
back
होती
of
है
this. Been able to play on Trifecta in that compound, has a lot of good sight lines off towards boot camp, and being able to be a really strong position to hold him. Question is whether Faze will be able to move down on that bridge on the south side, maybe blast their way into the front loaded edge
अच्छा
of that
डक्सन है
Trifecta,
डक्सन कहाँ गई है
take down a
डक्सन
couple of
उतरती
players
है
from Influence
पाइनान
Rage
तो
and reclaim that spot.
इनको
Again, it will all
मैडबुल
depend on stage 3, stage 4, because this is a very uncertain circle so far, and I think a lot of teams aren't quite
आईएचसी एंड
knowing
यूडू
where this
पास
is going
पास
to
ही होने
end
चाहिए
up.
कैम
DX as well
ब्रावो
as Duxan both
एंड
left
भान स्प्लिट
Painan.
ब्लू
They realized
दैट्स
it's
व्हाई
not
दे आर
likely
फाइटिंग
to be a
हियर
Painan circle
नाइस
anymore, and
पिच
BTR decided they'd take residence in there in the meantime. IHC, though, on your screens, going from fight to fight at the moment, looking over towards You Do
भाई
Alliance
ठंड
now.
लग रही
Got
है
Olio
आदित्य भाई बहुत ज्यादा
tracked off
ठंड
in
लग
the
रही है
distance,
गाइस
stuck in the blue.
गाइस चाय ऑर्डर कर दो मेरे को
And IHC, they sized this one up a fair few minutes ago. They've been taking a
What will
couple
be the
of pot
cutoff of
shots,
VMP's qualification?
at
What will
least
be the
forcing them
VMP's
back. So
qualification
confidence
cutoff?
for You Do Alliance
भाई
going to be
बोनस
rattled
पॉइंट का भी
somewhat.
रहता है अब
And
नीचे
they
की
do
टीम ने
opt for
बोनस
the
पॉइंट उठा लिया
getaway.
कुछ बोल नहीं सकते
Spacing's
बट
there
आई
between
थिंक
all
कट
of
ऑफ
them as well.
अराउंड
They've got vehicles for the moves, so it won't be all doom and gloom. You Do
170
Alliance
टू
can
200 के
relink.
बीच में होना चाहिए
Meanwhile, the
अकॉर्डिंग टू
side
मी
that
बाकी
really
आई डोंट
has
नो
been
15
stuck in
मैचेस
the
है
muck
क्योंकि 15
today,
मैचेस में
it feels like Reject
11
have
का
been a bit
एवरेज
of
होता है
unlucky
विनिंग
stick,
एवरेज
fragmented
एक
from the
टूर्नामेंट
get-go,
को जीतने
losing
के लिए
Zara instantly. The longer
ठीक
the
है
game's gone on, the
ओके
harder it's been
फाइनली
for them. Right now, just treading water and hoping to keep themselves afloat in the game in two ways here, as they just need to tuck in under the bridge
एक्शन अर्ली
and
निकल
stay
गई थी
out of
ठीक है
trouble,
आरसी
really,
फिर
right? Because
अपना
you're already
पाइनान को
so
चलेगी
low
बीटीआर
in
पाइनान आ
HP
गई उस
and
पर
down
सिया
to the
कहाँ
bare
से आई है
minimum in
पीछे
terms
से
of
कैंपम
manpower.
से
Yeah, for Reject, I think they
बीटीआर आई
realize
है
how important
बीटीआर
Sandbox
नाइस
can be, where you do
ओके
want to keep yourself
बॉयज
nice and healthy in terms of points, even if it's just 1 or 2 on the game. But what a cruel circle this one is.
भसड़
Sends everyone
देख रहे हो
towards
गाइस
that
सदन
northeast
भसड़
side. Boot camp becomes a big
समझ आ
feature,
गया भाई
and
वो
there's only
ठंड
really a
जाएगी
few
तो
teams
जैकेट
close
दूंगा
by
ही
to
ना
take advantage
बोलो
of
भाई
that.
पीटी
Rook is on the south side, could potentially push in towards some of those compounds on the southern edge later on. Udo Alliance is throwing a bit of a bone as well, as they're able to get ahead
सो
of
गाइस अकॉर्डिंग टू
IHC,
मी
now into a position where they
जो
can
मैं
make
आपको
it in
बोल ही
towards
रहा हूँ
boot camp, but they don't
एक
take the
विनिंग
risk.
एवरेज
Instead,
रहता है
it's
किसी
IHC
भी
to fly on
टूर्नामेंट के लिए
past them, put
बढ़िया
some nice shots from
10
Iftar,
से
who at
11
least
का
lift
उसके
Godless out of the
अकॉर्डिंग 15
vehicle.
मैचेस में विनिंग एवरेज क्या बना 150 का 150 155
Godless, he could be a
8
big
का बना
impact fragger for
विनिंग
this
एवरेज है
team.
ये
We
और
saw
आप
that
टॉप
yesterday.
16 की
He
बात
was
कर रहे हो
really putting up
तो
some big
मेरे को ये लगता
numbers.
है
So
150
being
60
able to
70
stop him
80
from
हाईएस्ट
swelling
200
early
जो कि
into
बहुत
Sandbox
रेयर है
is a good start.
बीएमपी कट ऑफ ये बोनस पॉइंट से
Putting
कॉम्पिटिटिव
Cobblers
सिनारियो
back
खराब कर
down
रहे
to
हैं ऐसा नहीं है
reality.
ब्रो जो
Meanwhile,
अच्छा खेल रहा है उसको ही
IHC,
बोनस
they've
पॉइंट
been on
मिल
the
रहे हैं ना
move once again,
कंपटीशन
going from
बढ़ेगा
You Do Alliance
5
to
मैचेस
putting
में
their
हर एक टीम को होगा
focus
कि अपना
on
बेस्ट देना है और
EX,
अच्छी
the
रैंक
side that
लानी
we've
है
already seen
ऐसा कुछ नहीं
today.
है बोनस
Has been
पॉइंट
roaming
ग्लोबल पे भी
and
होता है
looking
तो ऐसा
pretty
कुछ नहीं
confident to
कंपटीशन
take
खराब हो रहा है एंड
battles where possible.
हर एक
You've
टीम
got
अपना
a little
ट्राई
bit of
हार्ड करेगी
spacing
बेस्ट
between
करेगी
them,
जो
both of
बेस्ट
them.
होगा
Didn't
वो
expect
निकलेगा
a quick
बस
flick out
इस
from
पॉइंट का
Alex,
सिस्टम
who
वही है कि
has
जो
been
बेस्ट
on
होगा
point
ना
blank. His
वही
gun
आगे
skill's
निकलेगा
been really good the past couple days, hitting so many blinders. On that one, he sees You Do Alliance off to the distance, keeps the pressure on them, doesn't want to let them feel comfortable. But nothing about this is comfortable. Boot camp right now is chock-a-block with squads.
It's a difficult ending for a lot of teams, and if you're on the outer edge, a lot of times that can spell doom and gloom for you. We do get an initial knock over towards Inko Vitali. Outer edge, a lot of times that can spell doom and gloom for
क्यू
you.
जोन
We
मेटा
do
कब
get
तक
an
आएगा
initial
ब्रो
knock
डिपेंड
over
करता है
towards Inko
ऑफिशियल्स पे कि कब
Vitali
तक वो
drops.
अप्लाई करते
3
हैं
players here from Gladiators
तो वो
looking to
अप्लाई
go
कर
up
ले जल्दी
against
तो
the
जल्दी आ
Inko
जाएगा
squad, who are now just down to 2 after early engagement with the Mad Bulls. Haven't really left ruins from that point, and Gladiators have been very comfortable just to try and hold this team out in the meantime. But again, it's Team Queso, Gladiators, Inko, Duxan, BTR on these outer edges. No real hope in hell of getting over towards boot camp now. You have to play on those outer positions, which is what DX has been so good at, is immediately identifying those really strong points within the circle and been not afraid to just push in very, very early onto them. So well done to DX, get 4 players into the circle there, and they'll be happy with this position going forward. Just need to hold on to it for the time being. Freak, Enigma Galaxy attempt to get into boot camp themselves, but it's too late. Again, that greedy rotate in the late game seems to be coming back to haunt Enigma Galaxy.
something we saw from them very commonly, where their eyes were a bit bigger than their belly back in the survival stage, and they would run some risks, have some late timings, and leave themselves susceptible to losing the possibility to aggregate points.
BMPS का
in
फॉर्मेट
these
बता दो,
games. For
BMPS का
now, they
फॉर्मेट
just
ब्रो,
stick inside of their
BMPS का फॉर्मेट
compound.
जोन देखो
The
पहले,
zone's going to be
जोन
shifting,
जाएगा
so we'll
बूथ
see
कैम्प के
who this
पास,
favors and where
है
pressure
ही
is
नहीं
going to
इसो,
be applied.
ओहो,
Fair amount of water, but actually quite nice for one squad in particular. Rook are going to be having a
GG, let's
field day
go,
on this
GG
flank,
for
and
the
they do
win.
so good when they get center, when they get compound control and can just defend. That's where we've seen them play some of their best PUBG Mobile.
Yeah, Default as well has been so strong when it comes to that defensive behaviors, right? It's been amazing to
96
see
टीम
him
में
grow
से
as a
16
player
टीम्स
during the
क्वालीफाई होंगी,
survival
यस मेरी
stage.
जान,
Pmgc
96
Evos,
16
Redface
टीम्स
drops the
क्वालीफाई.
Molotov over towards Udo Alliance as they attempt to get a little bit too close to him for comfort. Pulls out the nade here, Jackie. So Pmgc backing off just slightly. Good amount of damage there. Just continues to put the pressure on. This is over towards the eastern side right now. The team isn't fully grouped for Udo Alliance, and Pmgc Evo similarly have lost a player. So playing with 3 here, attempting to hold off a full 4-man squad.
More smokes than a nightclub right now, as they're trying to keep this place shrouded so that you can't get line of sight onto Udo Alliance. Zuxi at least will find a bit of a tag, but it's the peak from the back line. Swinging in from the rock, hitting the shots onto Redface, and leaving him now knocked. Scared about the hillside, and right to be so. Duxan are starting to push down blank. They're going to have their eyes and ears about them on this one. Hoxie's able to strike with the first. Link will steal away the points, but this head-to-head has turned into a third-party fight for control of the compounds now.
Yeah, I mean, for Duxan, it was a nice cheeky rotate. They moved up from Painan, swung hard on the eastern side, above both Udo Alliance and Pmgc Evos. Olio going down for Udo Alliance is really bad news. That guy was doing the majority of the work for the team. He saw there, opening things up with a fantastic little off angle over towards Pmgc Evos, but it's not quite enough. In the meantime, it is BTR to take down the final remnants there of Reject. Going down in 15th place feels pretty horrible for this squad. Not getting too much off the back of it. Pmgc Evos, though, still giving it gas over towards Udo Alliance, and they're falling like flies here, Jackie.
They are. They're starting to crumble. The defense is shaken. Udo Alliance might be going down quickly. Link wants to go in and hit him with a masterclass on the DBS. Meanwhile, Mechanicsy off towards the hillside. Third partying again onto what remained of Duxan. Cluck, he's still standing. Armed with a shot, he dives out the window as the nades will detonate in his previous position. Redface connected onto. He falls. Second peak, though, on the jump shot. And it is a trade back from Link.
Just links remaining now to keep going forwards. Difficult news ahead for a lot of these teams. Lovely circle for Rook once again, but as Brute Force trying to attempt to push in on towards one of those northern compounds, and I think Rook may have lost a player in that situation. They opt to just send further down towards that southern side and just give up the ghost over towards Brute Force. Influence Rage, DX, IHC will all have to fight for control on the southern edge, and IHC have a significant advantage considering their position in the circle. It's still in. So they're most likely going to be able to gatekeep DX as well as Influence Rage whilst they're being pressured by the blue to push them in. The difficulty is that IHC, this Mongolian squad, only with 3 players alive. But Alex, Yol, Demo, all really strong players in their own right. And with the little gulch in between them, this could be a good position to take their stand.
It's the nades as well. They're going to be worth their weight in gold here. A well-placed grenade could be the difference of this fight going the way of IHC. Right now, they're trying to use the nades from DX's side to clear out the close range angles. They go for the advanced wrap as well, diving in a vehicle to close the distance. Levi's thought he had the drop on them individually, but Zol was crisp, ready with the DBS, denies entry on the shotgun. Meanwhile, Gladiators are clashing against Faze as well, so the fights across the battleground here on Sandhawk are raging on, and pressure's now applied to DX. You're in an equal footing now, 3 versus 3 as they try and close that distance. Brute Force on our screens as well as they've collapsed on Rook, and it looks like they're starting to find success on this one. Rami's rotating down to assist, but can they clean up?
I mean, for Brute Force, they allowed them in, right? They Rook, they Sorted off towards that south side, gave Brute Force a full sense of security. I thought Eugene would go down, but he held on marvelously from that front end there. Levi's goes down to Lynx. That's a stolen elimination coming through on the boot camp side of things, but Brute Force will be out now, taken down by Rook. A really nice hold from them.
Hello?
DX is just suffering to the squad coming through from IHC, who are doing a wonderful job to hold on to their position. Influence Rage also sending in from the side, bided their time here, waited for their moment to strike, and now just Demo. This is classic Brazilian gameplay on the third party.
Look at the way Demo's playing it, though. He's really hoping that if they just don't clear the angle, if they don't spot him here, that potentially he's got room to breathe. It triggered discipline as well, Blank. You love to see this. He lets the first man out, doesn't respond just yet. He's sizing it up and trying to decide when to strike. Finally engages, sees the second player, the door opens, quick switch onto the secondary, wants the first on it, couldn't quite get the elim.
Couldn't get the elim off the back of that, but like you said, you gotta love the trigger discipline on him. He was just waiting for a long time, got a little bit too nervous there. Paragin, last player alive for DX, able to get through this one a little bit more, but with Rook's position in the circle, feels more and more confirmed, like they're gonna get this. We set up the storyline at the right at the beginning that this is a team that's excellent at defending central positions. Gladiators out on the outer edge as well, but it's BTR that my eyes are focused on. On towards the south side, I think they have one of the best chances to attempt to get in towards this circle as a 4 and try and take down Rook, but they are peppering them with bullets right now. Paragin forced to move out, but Influence Rage, they're going to put a stop to that one.
Influence Rage, they're going to be furious with losing a man from the squad. They're going to want to start to bash back instantly and shut down Paragin. Make sure they can squeeze any extra elim points out of this one if possible, and stand tall towards the end of the battle of boot camp. Paragin is just playing out the time, using the blue to the best of his advantage to at least try and lurk back into the zone. Late push has been knocked over, it seems, as Gladiators are fighting two battles at once, with Queso trying to deal damage from a distance. Matix on the move, going from rock to rock and trying to keep himself safe. So many angles you're exposed to. Meanwhile, it's BTR that are at the top of the hill, putting pressure on Rook once again as well. And these fights just aren't stopping, Blank. There is a lot of pressure being applied right now.
Yeah, Gladiators go out there. 60 just left out in the blue. Nice side swipe there from Team K. So I think they did take a knock and a flush in return. But so far, it's BTR have been doing really well. Getting up this hill side is not easy versus Rook. And Rook's recalled some of their players down towards this south side. They realize they need all the help they can get here if they want to hold on to this one. They had such a good chance at getting themselves a chicken dinner, but another knock comes through. Pusher is down. Procedure Eagles, 2 players still remaining. They have fought tooth and nail to stay into this game. Law next on the menu for Lynx.
Oh, mate, he is the law right now. Full Judge Dredd level plays as he puts the hammer down with the weapon, silencing them. And Influence Rage go up in a puff of smoke. The top dogs that we expected to see throwing up with some dominance into this game. I haven't really been able to find that. And these fights are not stopping. DBS for Papi Potro wants to punish from a distance. Hits the first one to BTR. Going in for the second as well. Clean up crew plays as he shuts them down.
Team Queso killing it during this match. After 10 eliminations from some cheeky plays from in the water. We got Big Milo up on top, but Lynx can't step up for too long with Defo already spotting them out.
Oh my god, ये क्या देखने को मिल रहा है guys? रुक का चिकन डिनर आ चुका है, बहुत बढ़िया भाई.
They're up to 5 eliminations. The chicken dinner looks so likely for this squad, and now even more so.
रुक का चिकन लिखा ही था, जिस तरीके से जोन कटा है, जिस तरीके से रुक ने अपनी पोजीशनिंग को संभाला हुआ था. अगर मुझे याद है, रुक की टीम ने ये छोड़ा ही नहीं यहाँ पे. ना वो बूट कैंप भागी, उसको पता था बूट कैंप अगर एक बार जोन खींचेगा निकलना मुश्किल हो जाता है. वही चीज. रुक नाइस प्लेड रुक, बहुत बढ़िया 6 किल. अरे लिंक्स हाय हाय क्या नॉक दिया भाई. हिल ही नहीं है.
Potro's been playing a great game.
Lynx के पास हिल ही नहीं है.
First for it as well, guaranteeing himself the elimination on that one with the DBS quick switch. This has been a masterclass from him.
भाई ये तो सिचुएशन ही चेंज कर दी. रुक की 2v1v1 सिचुएशन होगी. गाइस कौन निकालेगा ये चिकन?
Hasn't got time to pop up a bandage, reset his HP bar. But that's what Lynx is.
अरे यार.
Himself exposed though, Blank. Papi Potro.
निकाल दिया. रुक लेगी.
He's going for the dash as well, trying to get himself into a better position towards the death box.
बढ़िया.
Runs out, gives it up, takes the second place on the chin.
बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया.
Difficult game for Rook. At the end of it, it's Papi Potro.
तो guys, जो भी channel के अंदर नए हो, make sure to hit the like and subscribe to the channel.
What a gamer towards the end. Takes down Lynx, takes down Pusher, gets the double flush on both. A lot of eliminations out there from Team Queso, which is going to shoot them towards the top side, the lobby. And from a play on Camp Alpha on that northwest side, what a game from them. A lot of teams putting a lot of stock over towards boot camp, and you sort of have to take those risks if you're in range of getting it in, right? So for IHC, DX, Influence Rage, they all try and go for that play where the circle guarantees on boot camp, but it's Rook who plays their hand early, decides they're going to wait it out, play the patience game, holding that compound down towards the south side, but he got Hairy Man, and that's how you know we're in last chance. Some of the best teams in the world all battling out, and even if you get that circle look early on, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a chicken dinner off the back of it.
I think that's great from Rook there in the sense that all the elements that we were impressed by over the course of the past few days, Blank, were bubbling to a boil very quickly for them there. Smart reads in terms of the rotations, a little bit of luck when it comes to the circle blessing you as well, but being in a position to control those compounds, to play that defensive style, having players like Default hitting their shots as well, always helps. So that's a huge chicken dinner. But Queso, honestly, for me, I think in terms of the rotations we saw during that game and how they were approaching it overall, that was some really heads-up stuff. They were really switched on for this first game, Blank.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've got to stay switched on this whole day because it's only going to get more and more intense. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be sending you
guys, कुछ तो सीन चल रहा है. एक ही गेम फिर से मॉड बना लो, बना देंगे जोन ले लिया किल. Your views League of Legends. Moe, nobody's been a giver in tournament.
What a ridiculous match out of them as well. Coming in from the Northwest Island Max. You're watching the rotations as well in this match.
क्या ये
They
लिखा
had to
है?
rotate not once, but twice.
वही 15-20 मिनट का बफर होता है. रेस्ट जो मिलता है 10-15-20 मिनट.
And actually, it's really weird because Faze, I mean, you can see in this position, Faze could have
Moe.
rotation across the river so much earlier, but Team Queso were just so much faster on that pivot, on that rotate, and they were able to actually, we'll give you the win, we'll get the elimination.
Good.
Well, I mean, yeah, Rook was here and they got the victory, but they were here since the Circle 2 pop, right? So they should have been able to hold it down, and Default even also getting himself the MVP of the match. They should have been able to. Well, I mean, yeah, Rook was here and they got the victory, but they were here since the Circle 2 pop, right? So they should have been able to hold it down, and Default even also getting himself the MVP of the match after being the MVP of Survival, so fantastic for him. But Queso, the way in which they were playing this game, really patient, really calm, really collected, right? There's always so many moments where you could have rotated down to that South Island and then just tried to
official biggest
bulldoze
tournament,
your way
yes,
in and
bro,
hope
blind
for the best.
testing
But no,
chip.
they're
Arey,
like,
aayegi,
okay,
aayegi.
the circle's moved away from us. This is not the opportune entry point. Let's look for another one. Let's look for another option. And it works out splendidly.
Yeah. Oh, I'm happy for trying big. We're doing big stuff again. I just really enjoy saying the name. But yeah, and Link's able to survive for the side of Procedure Evos. They were playing the hilltop east of Painan for a big portion of this match, and then just easily transition to the eastern side of Bootcamp Hill. And you're just going to survive pretty much. Even as a solo, Lynx could have maybe competed for a win at the end, because we know that solos on Sanhok can put a dent in the position of these teams if they can play that one correctly. So good on Procedure to get some extra survival time, because they needed it. They barely qualified for the last chance of this tournament, so them able to at least get a few placement points on board, that's going to put them a bit more at ease for the rest of the day.
There's still a lot of teams I wanted to actually focus on here, so let's speed this up a little bit because we only have 4 minutes until we get into the next match. We got to talk about Gladiators a little bit. We have to talk about the drops. Max, we were talking about it in particular, and you were very happy to see some adaptation within the team.
I was like, Gladiators doing a change? No way. I don't believe it. But yeah, it was really cool. So one thing they used to do in the past when they used to drop Northwestern Island is they used to have this big split, get all the trash loot and regroup after, while Tixie dropped on Trifecta to transition. Because Reject drop on Trifecta, they sent Matic actually across the Western Bridge north of Ruins, which actually is a very cool transition point. Maybe you can third party a fight of Inco versus Mad Bulls. Oh, yeah. I know that's something you want to talk about.
That's exactly where we're going next.
That's a good adaptation from Gladiators, so I like that change. Of course, going uphill is going to be tough as you transition away from Trifecta, but it's at least a good modification from Gladiators that I am happy to see.
Yeah.
Inco Mad Bulls, he teed it up for you, Claris. You want to talk about Gladiators, or you want to talk about those two?
I mean, it makes it even more precarious and more scary that you would make that hot drop in Ruins, right? Like Inco and Mad Bulls, these are two teams that could, in theory, challenge for those top 5 spots. Yet they're both so willing to go into a hot drop scenario here when they have proven, it has been proven, that Nigma Galaxy is willing to third party instantly, and Ruins is a rubbish place to hot drop each other because sometimes you're using the cover, which
Jimmy
is
in Wolves now. Yes, Jimmy ने by the way guys
You're
अपनी
open
lineup भी change
completely
कर
to
ली
all of
जिनको
those
नहीं
lines
पता है तो.
from Nigma Galaxy and potentially even Gladiators now if they're making that kind of adjustment. So stop it.
Yeah,
there you go.
I was about to say exactly as you said. Like the fact that now Gladiators are added to that equation is just, it doesn't matter if you go in and win the fight and you go north or south, you're going to have 2 teams stopping that rotation from happening in the first place. And it sucks too because we were looking at this game.
भाई थंबनेल के सेंटर में कौन है भाई? ये ओल्ड थंबनेल है जिनको नहीं पता है तो ये गाइस दिस इज द ओल्ड थंबनेल.
As a 3-4-man team, you can easily transition into trifecta and at least make into a top 5 position, I'd say. So at least there's only one Sanhok a day is not going to be that impactful, but I just hope that tomorrow we're not going to see that hot drop happen again, because over 12 matches, that one game might just ruin your chances of going in the grand finals.
And it makes you think about something you said, Klaus, during the match, is that, like, why would you kind of hot drop there and potentially handicap yourself for the match as well? Like, losing one, potentially 2 players, you're putting yourself in a unwinnable position pretty much.
In some hot drop scenarios, there is a potential winner and a potential loser, right? Like that happens in Pachinki and these other places and things like that. In Ruins, almost never is there a really truly a winner, because again, you are so open when you try and transition away from it, or those third parties are looking at you, or you even lose someone in the start of the hot drop anyway. So
Yeah, well, you know what? We don't have to see any more Sandhawks anymore today, except tomorrow we'll still have one more, but it's time to head into our marathon of Erangels, all 3 back-to-back with Jack.
जिमी ताइवान से है ना? यस मेरी जान, जिमी ताइवान से शायद इंडियन प्लेयर्स think they are the best, they should watch this tournament. अरे 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 भाई इन हो गया. कौन है ये? आहिर भाई ऐसा है क्या? देखना चाहिए. ठीक है भाई.
We do, yeah. And I mean,
आज के टाइम पे कंपटीशन बहुत हो गया. ठीक है आदित्य स्ट्रिगोल आईसी. ठीक है
but 3 Erangels to
चलो भाई सिस्टम कर दो सिस्टम. ब्रो नोवा की लाइनअप की कोई न्यूज़ है? नहीं ब्रो, नोवा की लाइनअप की कोई न्यूज़ नहीं है. चेंजेस होने वाले तगड़े वाले नोवा पे. जिमी जा चुका है. बाय द वे सेकंड मैच आपका इरेंगल स्टार्ट होने वाला है.
IHC suffering just a little bit on that last game as they went in towards boot camp. Maybe if they had 4 players, it could have been a different story. Either way, I do think the Influence Rage's play was extremely well coordinated. Managed to shift themselves in towards that western side of boot camp, keep themselves incredibly safe for a very long time, and out of the prying eyes of both those teams in DX and IHC, and then open things up towards the end there. So they're very good when it comes to timing those third parties, which is going to be a scary factor for all these squads. You can tell everyone is laser focused today here, Jackie.
Yeah, no room for mucking about. And that's the way you've got to approach it, Blank. You know, from game 1 all the way to the end of game 12, you need to be playing simply your best PUBG. There is no other exception to it. Every game needs to have elims. Every game, you've got to be thinking about the placements, because there's only 5 spots up for grabs. It's incredibly fierce. That's an incredibly hard format to have to play around and try and keep that sort of mentality in your mind that, look, even if we muck up one game, we've got to go straight back in. We've got to go twice as hard in the next one to make up for it. So for Mad Bulls, that's probably where their heads are at right now. Off the back of having a rough start on the first map of Sanhok, you've got to come into Erangel fresh, forget about it, compartmentalize what happened on the first map, and really just show up massively in terms of the game here now, Blank.
Yes, stick it in a cardboard box. I mean, if you go out instantaneously on that first Sanhok,
देखो 5
you
मिनट
sort
में
of have
स्टार्ट
to be
हो
thinking
गया
about
वहाँ
getting a chicken dinner here on this map, or at least a high elimination
ओके ब्रो.
game
डिलेज
to
यहाँ
make
भी
up
होते हैं,
for
ऐसी
that
बात
one
नहीं है भाई. आप
match
क्या
that
ही
you just
कंपेयर कर
lost
रहे हो इस
out on a
पॉइंट पे?
huge
डिलेज
amount
तो
of
सब
points
जगह ही
on
होते हैं
not
भाई.
even potentially getting
लास्ट
those
टाइम आपको नहीं
placement
पता यहाँ पे
points,
कितने
because
डिले
like
हुए
I said, it's the top 5 that makes it through. So if you're going out first, it's not a case of, oh, I can still make it to a top 8 at the end of the day.
चलो भाई सेकंड
You're
मैच भी
looking
स्टार्ट हो
for
गया.
a
आज अभी
big
मिलिट्री का
place
जोन
spot.
मजा आ जाएगा.
So you need that chicken dinner now to even out those playing points, because some of these other teams are going to keep getting those consistent points map after map. So for Mad Bulls, that is very much a big thing on their minds. Team Case, on the other hand, I just want to see them keep doing the same thing, because they were looking really good in their survival stage in terms of keep putting up the pressure, getting better and
Guys, देख रहे हो
better
सिस्टम है
throughout
अपना
their games, but
सिस्टम.
already
and Hawk
मिलिट्री सर्कल आ जाए, मिलिट्री सर्कल आ गया, और क्या चाहिए आप लोगों को?
This is an exciting start for all of us.
It must be something to do with when
सर्कल बनने से पहले ही
prediction
prediction हो जाती है, guys.
Circle has become so much more common. We love a co-side, it seems. Ooh, down by the seaside is what we're seeing here, though. IHC up against Inco already. So the hot drops were not a one-off. It seems like there's more room for shenanigans in the opening moments of these games, and this is going to be one of them. Two sides that we know have a ton of talent, that we've seen really going the extra mile over the course of the survival stage. Now in last chance, which one of them is going to falter, or will they have that discipline to back off and give up a fight before they throw everything into the wind?
We know that Inco's nades have been Supreme McQueen this entire tournament so far. Already got a few of them on board too. So for IHC, got to be a little bit worried about that. But for Inco, similarly, you know, 4 eliminations on that last game, it's something, but it's not going to send you towards the top side of the lobby doing that. And if you're going to go for a hot drop, pretty much on Sandhawk and a wrangle here on over towards Nova Rep Noya every single game, I think Inco is sort of bottling their chances away here. Zol sends out a couple of stun grenades over towards Inco, tries to force out some shuffles, here's some of the movement and try and locate where these players are, but then I bet you
IHC vibes मेरे को यहाँ पे ये वाला फाइट देख के पता कौन सा फाइट याद आ गया, जो एक बार एसटी वर्सेस ज़्यूस का फाइट हुआ था, याद है? एस्ट्रा अकेडमी जब चैंपियन बनी थी। क्या होगा क्यूसाकी? क्यूसाकी नॉक मत खा लियो। क्यूसाकी! भाई मैंने कुछ नहीं देखा। मैंने कुछ देखा ही नहीं कि क्या हुआ है, पता ही नहीं है।
just is not able to do it there, Jackie. A way unfortunate play. Had the drop on him as well. And I think, you know what saved him? It was the fact that he didn't have his gun out, right? If he had his gun out and he turned around, he'd be moving much slower, wouldn't have been able to react in time. The fact that he actually does have fists, which leaves him completely defenseless, by the way, gives him that chance to jump around the corner, get himself to safety, while Kayovsky, stuck behind those boxes, didn't have time to respond. Really good plays there from Misery. And this is what it takes
to
remain in here.
इंडिया जैसी ऑडियंस हो जो बीजीआईएस के टाइम पे थी, वहां तो हल्ले बज जाए, तब क्या करेगा बंदा? इतने में पैनिक हो गया तो नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता, पैनिक होने हारा है भाई बंदा, प्योर 1v1.
What's the response? How did Inco play around this? You've got a 1-2 split in terms of their setup right now. The front man behind the wall. That's going to be
pressure बना दी, बस squash बीटी कर देगा.
Over the broken
मुझे
wall
feel आ
and
रहा.
looking for fragments of info.
ये देखो, इसकी बात कर रहा था मैं.
इससे him second guess his decision, and Alex has to provide Overwatch. This is actually turning into a fight now where Inco look to have respect. They look to take situation control back now. They've got the red off and can reset on the fight.
Yeah, I think for Inco there, if anything, the knock actually assisted them on their side because it sort of forced IHC into a bit more of an aggressive mindset, tried to push a little bit too much, got impatient, and Inco were able to hold them off the back of it. Really fantastically done there. They get the res, full reset for both sides of these squads. Vitali's back up to full HP, so he must have had a med kit on him, which makes this even more difficult to play around. We can see Godless here and Demo, 70%, 30% apiece. Alex has to hit a big nade here, otherwise it's all over. It bursts a little bit too early. The shot coming through from upstairs, and IHC just cannot find themselves an in towards this fight here, Jackie.
IHC, they need a miracle. They need some help. The situation that started so well for them has quite quickly mounted into really to be in. Alex is just trapped there with nothing to his name. He's got a little bit of backup from Demo at least, but even then, if you get peeked out here with the high ground that Inco have under their sleeve, they should be able to make a good move out of this. Squash is waiting for the face. Ziol still just holding. Very awkward Kurt angle to be playing off of here. Vitali with another pickup. That's on the Demo. It's a good tag there. IHC's rough days continue, and they just don't know how to respond. You'd have to do something so confidently on this one and take the fight directly to Inco, but that's a risky play. If it blows up in your face, you lose it all. Godless as well, just trying to keep an understanding of where they are. Has a sneaking suspicion of the peak from the elevated angle towards the roof, but you can't do too much from this blank.
Resources की कमी है teams के पास,
but yeah, let's see. Stuck in a building, waiting for them to come in and take you out.
Oh, traps here now. Not able to do too much about it. Zio goes for an aggressive peek here, knows he's got to get something done and something done now. Squash, even with a strong angle, and with the fact that these players all been locked up in one building, does make things very difficult. Squash drops up, really nice play with the UMP. We'll find one, but there is a response. We're 2 apiece right now. 2 players alive for the guys on AHC. 2 players alive now for Inco. Vitali comes through with the DBS, looking to get more done. The shotgun's fully in close range now.
Nice.
Oh, punish. Wow. Starting to arrive, Blank, and it's
nice one, Ayogi.
Alex. How have they turned this one around? It was such an elongated, awkward fight for them, where it really didn't look like they had much stock into it.
The old strategy, Bryce, old strategies.
Over the course of the whole tournament.
तो नहीं लाई है पर
He just shows up when needed.
I mean, for that one, it went from impatience on the side of
हर्ष बंसल भाई फेस कैम के लिए यार थोड़ा सेटअप भी चाहिए होता है वो सेटअप हमारे पास है नहीं ऑनेस्टली सिंह मुझे पता है मेरे को फेस कैम वीडियोस ही निकालनी है नेक्स्ट से तभी वीडियोस भी नहीं आ रही है It's not about the face cam, it's about the resources bro. जैसे इनको के पास resources नहीं थे थोड़ा उसमें पुश करने के लिए वैसे हमारे पास resources नहीं अभी face cam
themselves in the game there. Reject though losing Sarah on the approach to Udo Alliance. OCO off in the distance. Some barely any HP and will get taken out there too. Reject very much suffering. Down to 2 players once again, which seems to be a similar story that we keep on seeing from this team. And Reject Tokyo went from strength
ये हार्डशिप खाएगा आपका इसका वेस्टर्न साइड का
in the last chance. Next circle shifts far down towards the southern edge. A lot of water still in play. A cruel circle to work with, but route towards the center once again here. Jackie, they're looking for that 5th place.
And Rook already showing us that the boxes we needed to see tick today are well and truly covered. They've been hitting their shots, they've been playing smart, and they've had those early heads-up defense when it comes to the circles. Very quick on their feet with the rotates. Everyone being pulled towards the circle, though, like magnets at this point, sucking them in as they race to try and get there ahead of one another. Enigma Galaxy here on the move seem to have run across Gladiators, and they will pull out the blade, slicing their way through Coops initially as Matic will connect onto him. So already down 1 man, and Coops has been a bit of a star player for them as well, Blanks. That's rough, losing that young gun so early.
Yeah, losing Coops is pretty devastating to Enigma Galaxy. It's these rotates once again that come through, feel just a little bit careless at times, but I think you can sort of forgive them on this game if you are a fan of them. This circle is very, very mean, and if Enigma Galaxy want to get some big points on this game and try and redeem themselves from that last match, they sort of needed to go for something big here. So they sent in, but they lose Coops. Like you said, the man, the spearhead right at the front, that's going to cause some issues going into the future. We'll see if Ralph, Lord, and Freak are able to hold down the fort in the meantime. Reject off towards their eastern side right now. They're just living on us too. Probably want to keep their nose clean for quite some time. DX also had a long rotate in the boats on this south side. We're going to slow things down just a little bit now. Down to 15 teams, 54 players. A lot of squads have lost a couple of members here and there. Influence Rage also attempting to make their way through on that north side, but it's brute force constantly in the wings.
Being nipped at by the blue then, but still just playing it slow, waiting to edge guard here towards the bridge when brute force pull up to the party. That's what the play is all about. Try and funnel them into a choke point and look to accuse some extra points off the back of it. They might narrowly want to avoid this one if they're aware of it, but your options to rotate really are quite limited. You've either got the 2 bridges or the big blue. And going through that H2O will leave you so susceptible. So topping themselves up first as they take a pit stop. Meanwhile, DX, we can see that they've arrived back on land with a late rotate round the back, playing off the coast here towards the Broken Islands at the backhand side. So you've got a nice bit of free real estate, really, Blank. They can keep themselves out of trouble for a substantial amount of time and just let the other squads do the big fights for them, potentially even spit some bullets out to steal elims. Oh, the zone's not too bad for them either. That's worked out pretty perfectly. A lot of water on this one though, so it is really going to be rough in terms of the spacing that is not there for Evos and Queso as they run into one another.
Psg Evos of that last game able to get themselves a nice 2nd place up to 13 points off the back of it. And they really went through hell to get where they were in the circle. Link's doing a fantastic job to get themselves that third place. Nades over the tops from Luxy here, who has been a massive standout for the team. Look to see what he can get hit. There's a big amount of damage, but by the time that nade hits, they're already starting to evacuate the area. Luxy looking for a wide angle here. Big Milo peeking over the smoke, trying to peer through the mist in the process. And Luxy looks for another grenade. It's his last one in the pocket. Wants it to be successful.
Nades flying out. None of them finding the success that he was hoping for. Udo Alliance with the punishing blow onto Nigma. Lord, he's just lurking on the broken rocks now, firing bullets into the pool, hoping that those will land on target. Take Zerich out of commission, but he's called for the backup, and the cavalry is arriving quickly. All of them in their vehicles pull up to the party. Lord with a backstab on one, but far too many players to focus on there. He gets overwhelmed.
I mean, that's a fantastic rotate coming through from the Mad Bulls, right? Zerich sends into the water, tries to scout at least something in this situation, gets the bead on that. These players, they're looking like they're in a rough spot. The rest of the squad flies in on top of them. I think they make it in with 3 players total, with Frozen down on his feet. Should be able to bring him back up into the play. But again, this is not a bad spot for Mad Bulls to live out quite a bit of this game now, Jackie. BTR on the northern edge, they got themselves one of the early compounds, and that will keep them safe for quite some time. It's a nice position to be playing in, but so many more teams want a better advantage into these games.
And for the meantime, you really do have to slow it down a little bit. The tempo can't continue. I'm going to go by a bit of a different beat of the drum now. As you know that making any mistakes in the situation you're in is going to be very costly for Mad Bulls. They were aware of the angle Freak was playing, but he's still allowed to just peek in. Oh, they nearly denied it. Barely survives with a sliver of health, as he'll be counting his blessings. Probably won't be peeking back in to try and steal points anytime soon. Stealing points, though, is happening here as they crash down. This is going to be brute force going in for the push to where Influence Rage were hiding out. Influence Rage somewhat fragmented, though, up on top of the building. That's Lil Boy that's going for the getaway and seems to have duked them.
The boys on Influence Rage and Brute Force just following each other around. Brute Force sending nades over the top whilst they hide inside the shelter. Inside the bunker itself, keeping themselves nice and healthy. Circle centers up down towards that south side, and BTR look to be in a great spot to take this game, bolt themselves and bump their points up in a big way. Currently is 6 points total. Rook also on that northern edge did take some fire down towards Faze, as Faze ripped into the Gladiators, leaving them just at 2 players now on that southern coast, with Meku and I believe it is Tixi alive in that area. IHC also fighting versus Duxan. So much going on around the map as all these teams are forced into one another. Big Molly on the floor. Alex has a big task ahead of him. Gets at least one, but it's Biddy on the ground to take some good shots. There's a little bit of an assist here off in the distance, but is it enough?
Oh, this is so rough. Either side losing so much that's been invested into this fight. Alex burning out. He's going down quick. They want to finish him, and they will take him out.
Hey-oh.
Focus too heavily on the utility. Doesn't realize he's been swung on by Junie. Can't cancel it. Can't quick switch back to the gun. Finished off by Junie as they'll snatch that one away. And IHC dissipate.
At the very least there, IHC is able to confirm himself another elimination point. I sort of think the Godless realised he was going out. Gets 6 elims on the game, but quickly Duxan is picked up in the process. Not able to get too much done whatsoever. Misery off in the distance in a miserable position himself on the outside the blue as Influence Rage removed themselves away from Brute Force, who were getting a lot done towards them. It's just Lil Boy, though, all on his lonesome, so it is a full 1v1 here. Misery. Like he can get something done here, has a nade to send over the top, but he's not too sure where these players are currently at.
The battle of the solo survivors here then. Just waiting for the push through. Little Boy dashing the nade so far away from the rest of Influence Rage, but he will start to backpedal a bit. Just knew that he could maybe find that free pickup on the Misery. Rook are getting rocked as well. as there's a connection back from Brute Force, already assessed where the rest of the team is and understands perfectly how to play around this. Smoke's going down as well, giving himself a little bit more spacing. Going to be a hard rotate in, and you try and find your way back into the zone, though. Lots of line of sight that you're going to be exposed to. Rook at least have some map geometry with the vehicle there to give him a bit of cover. Brute Force also going for the quick res. Want to reset on this. Pre-pod's up, but he's got to heal instantly.
Getting off the airstrip is really difficult. Look at this push that Mine's got to make. Across the road, into the smokes. It was essential. They denied some of these sight lines. Rook with Eugene and Pusher still up. Neos goes in to try and regroup with the rest of the squad, but Influence Rage is there. Law finally puts down the last player from Pmgc Evos, removing their player in misery. They're able to get 3 points on this game. Down to 10 teams now. Very, very early into the game as well to lose this many squads, and it's all down to this circle. BTR just chilling on this one. Great circle for them to continue with a big game. Udo Alliance also might want to try and sweep the coast, but it's the Mad Bulls able to hold on to things. But for how long, with DX starting to knock on their doors?
The Mad Bulls, they have to make a better game out of this one. After Sandhawk, you can't afford for any big mistakes. They need even more than what they've been able to find so far. It's only the one Elim point under the belt, and the team's down to just a 3-man setup. So you have to really go big now. They found the opportunity to third party at least, with the bullets constantly battering down, but Freak snatches away one as he will get that knock on the Gladiators. Gladiators that realize the location of Mad Bulls as well. And this is looking a little bit awkward, at least with the peppering back into them. It's been able to shut them down for now. Mad Bulls going up to 2 Elim, spotting DX in the water as well. And that could be some freebies if they can at least confirm onto them. It's going to be very awkward for DX, just using a little bit of landmass to stay afloat.
Yeah, for DX, realistically, it's only Paragin as well as Chow who have strong positions, trying to give time for the rest of their squad mates to get off the water onto the land. Paragin holding on the edge here. Mad Bulls most likely suffering when it comes to holding onto that utility. Rook's still going in this game. 5 eliminations, doing a fantastic little job for themselves. Not the most dominant game in the world, but they're consistently putting up those points. Pusher sends in, gets to at least a tree, but it is Influence Rage. Federal looking to take down Pusher himself. Will hit it. Down to 6 teams now. Gen Foss able to find something. This is such a cruel circle for so many other teams, but for BTR, they're just laughing in their booths right now.
Quick adjustment, trying to rotate around and get into a better spot. Meanwhile, there's some clowning going on here as well. The fight against Influence Rage. Udo Alliance found a bit of a freebie on that one. And now for Lil Boy, basically trapped in the back line, so far apart from his teammate. Low ammo to work with as well, down to 131 rounds on his primary gun. Looked like he was in a bit of a rough spot there with a secondary ammo as well, so could be a problem for him. Meanwhile, DX are still dashing grenades into the faces of Mad Bulls. They've got up from the coast, back on land now, but might be taking some bullets straight to the face and could quite quickly be removed from the situation. Paragin's forced down to the ground, has to keep himself out of trouble for a few moments and get the reset off. Mad Bulls looking to try and get back into this one, but Frozen's on his last legs and Fleek is paranoid blank. He expects the push, but does he expect the nade from Lamborghini?
See if this will bobble down towards him. It's gone a little bit too far. Drops it a bit closer. Paragin moving up nice and easy. That next nade might be it, but Fleek looks to be on the return. But the nade explodes directly in his face before he can get anything done. A true solo man himself. Really good when it comes to flying the flag alone. But versus DX, who took a pincer approach on that one. A long time coming, was it? And realistically, Mad Bulls just did not get enough damage done towards DX before it was way, way too late. Reject managed to keep things going for quite some time as just a duo here. BTR likely to have to leave their compound, but I think they realize this too, with Superboy and Gemforce both sending outside, looking to clear off the angles over towards that northern edge.
BTR on the roof, spotted by Udo Alliance. relatively closely grouped as well, just playing off one another. All the extra bells and whistles in the world, as there's a few loot boxes down on the ground from what remained of Influence Rage, allowing them to at least keep themselves stocked up and sitting pretty. Zone encroaching further in there, and you can see how much more awkward this is going to be. At least there's mostly landmass to work with, so there is spacing, but it is going to be barren when it comes to map geometry. All you'll really have to provide cover is the odd bits and bobs, some sheds, broken down vehicles, and bushes to block out bullets. BTR are in a good spot in terms of the compound they were actually able to find, so do have a good setup here. Reject is still playing down towards the coast with DX, knowing where they are. Off the back of DX actually being able to farm up a couple of elim points from their slower style of play here. They might want to just take that fight, see if you can finish off Reject. That would take them from 4 elims up to a potential 6.
I mean, for DX, it's been a pretty rough game, right? Playing out on that coastal side, swimming in. The way they set it up to take down the map balls from the 2 approaches on either side was pretty smart, pretty clever. I think for DX, you know, if they can get further into this game, it'll be basically off their own backs that this game has come their way. And I think anyone that's a big fan of this team certainly should be proud. BTR towards that western side as well. Yes, they get the circle, but I do really like the way they've been trying to clear out as much space as possible, confirming this win. Ollie up from Udo Alliance. Their team's up to 7 elims now, so they're on a bit of a tear. Got a lot of utility work with as well in that late game. Look to see if they can find themselves a bit of a knock, but it's Superboy. Got his eyes on, looking for those tags towards that team, and Reject realize the time is now. They got to move out.
Reject going for the getaway. Hoping that they can at least stay alive and kicking in this one. Still trying to get an overall assessment of where they could be peeked from and getting those smokes up as well to shroud them. So they park the car further back with the smokes blocking off towards the left and right, and just set up for a bit of an angle here, trying to play barely inside of the zone. So not wanting to overegg this one. Don't rotate any further than you have to. They are aware of their location, DX that is, that know exactly how to approach this one. Bullets around the back of the bumper, connecting onto Lufa. Quick heal back in for Lamborghini as well to top himself up. BTR going to be hearing all of this, but it's Udo Alliance they'll want to focus on. Just firing off some warning shots right now. For Reject, these warnings are getting very real, and they're probably not going to know how to approach it from here. You're just trapped at the mercy of DX, really.
Yeah, alarm bells are ringing, and I think for Reject, their main goal is to try and take down DX and get that 3rd place. But not able to do it. 4th place is all they'll get. 0 eliminations. They started this game on 0 points, so placements will all they'll have to be on this match. There'll be a few, but is it enough? Udo Alliance, 25 nades in the back pocket. So if they get close to BTR, it's a straight bombardment that they're going to have to suffer against. But it's getting out from behind this shack. The Udo Alliance is going to struggle so much to do. And with a circle heading towards BTR's compound, this is all but confirmed for BTR right now. All this is about is trying to get as many eliminations on board as possible. Bump those numbers even higher off the back of this match.
Udo Alliance taking little bursts, few shots now and then, hoping that they're going to tag on target. DX with the 3-man setup all along the wayside. Lamborghini bold and brash as he moves back down through the trees, lining it up. Satar with a nice connection will be able to hit that one and does stop him in his tracks, leaving him lifeless now. Levi's as well going down from Udo. So pressure on DX getting really rough, but Satar able to prioritize everyone, flicking all over the shop. There's even a bonnet coming out as the car goes in. It's getting aggressive now, Blank. The confidence is at an all-time high, and we're down to just 2 squads. Udo versus BTR.
Satar hardly any bullets in that AKM, but he's making it work. The gun hits like an absolute truck. Difficult to control though, but tap firing it from that distance, you can seriously put the hurt in. 6 eliminations. If they finish off these last players here, they'll be up to 9 for chicken dinner. A 19-point game would be absolutely gorgeous, but it is Olio. I know it's a wild task ahead of him to get the 4-piece, but already he does find 1. Looks to confirm on it too, but Lepar has the tree to go for the cover on the raise. gets a position to play with here. Can Olio get anything more done? Likely not to be the chicken dinner, but if you can at least try and confirm themselves some eliminations towards the end, Udo Alliance will be getting themselves some much needed points off the back of this one.
Yeah, exactly. That's got to be what's going through his mind right now, right? You're just thinking about how many more elims can I physically get out of this one. The closer you get to pulling off the clutch, the better it will be. So just confirming those eliminations right now, probably going to be what's going through his mind. Survival also got to be important. That's a nice knock onto Superboy. So GensForce has to back up a little bit here. Oh, Satar with the quick readjustment, but that baits out the peak, and they're prepared for the swing on that one. So Bigatron Red Villains walking away with the chicken dinner there.
Nice game for BTR, a much needed one too. I mean, it got a little bit hectic towards the end, but again, I just think that really does highlight how good Udo Alliance is and just how good Olio is as well. I mean, he has been really dragging his team through this tournament, kicking and screaming towards some big points. Not to say some of the other guys on that squad aren't good, but Olio certainly has been impressing on that side. But it is BTR take themselves a win. Very nice compound that they held very early on, and then I do enjoy the fact that they kept sweeping. It wasn't just a case of sitting inside the building for too long. Very, very well done for BTR. I'm sure they're happy with how this one went.
What was this celebration from Lepar? He loves it. He's coming up with all the interesting moves. And interesting moves is what they showed us inside of the battleground as well. I'm glad to see it, Blake. You know, BTR, I think, were actually really impressive when we were seeing them play throughout the course of Survival. So the fact that you're coming out swinging into Last Chance, that's good. That bodes really well. This is a good team. This is a team that, honestly, Blank, I think with how they've been playing, if they maintain it, they're really worthy of breaking into that top 5. You know, having one of those 5 spots that are up for grabs. They've been really fun to watch.
Yeah, probably. I think they're probably one of my biggest focus teams for today as well, because I think that BTR, it's been a long time coming that this team rises back to glory from Indonesia, and I do think that they've had a nice restructure. Lepar and Satar looking absolutely banging in these matches at the moment, and it's not just Superboy doing all the work, and it's not just us doing all the work either. It's your boys back over on the desk, which we'll send you to now.
You know, I think the hardest part of that match for Bigatron Red Villains there, it wasn't the chicken dinner. It was staying awake long enough for the match to finish. Considering how that match started off, Cars, you went back on our map stream and looked at how long were Bigatron basically at that compound.
Yeah, they were in there for about 23 minutes, a good 23 minutes chilling. You know, you could see the distance traveled there. I think it said 34,000 meters or something like that. I guess probably 30,000 meters of that was just walking in circles in that compound, waiting for people to come along. So, yeah.
Just gotta get their daily steps in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what to say about this game, really, Jay.
No, come on, break it down,
okay, let's talk about some things, right? Let's talk about Inko, IHC, a hot drop that happened towards the end of the game. Inko back-to-back kind of hot drops, and unfortunately not really working out too well for him this time. And that already puts Inko very far down in the leaderboards where they can't afford to have it. Even Team Queso going out early, considering they just had a phenomenal first match of the day on Sandhawk. So you've already seen some switch-ups here in the leaderboards.
Yeah, not a great start for Latin America and Brazil here, except for Influence Rage are still just popping off, it seems. But yeah, that hot drop IHC, Inko, they need to try and change it. Sanhok is not going to be that impactful for you, right? But when it starts to impact your Wrangles, your Miramars, that's when you start to think that could really have a hindrance. Of course, that could be off the back of the plane path, which was not really great. It kind of did lean into that hot drop possibly happening, but you got a lot of trash loot around Novo that you can easily go to if you are one of those two teams to try and have a similar rotation path and still not have to take that fight. So yeah, I like to see a change here because 2 matches out of 12 already down the pan. That's not the way you want to go if you're Inko.
Yeah, remember, it's all top 5 right now to get through into our grand finals, and a couple of teams, even Influence Rage, chugging along only in 7th. But again, Colaris, the very beginning of events like this, it's always going to change so drastically considering the point spread between the teams, and one chicken dinner can bounce you from, 13th to 1st.
Yeah, for sure. And Erangel kind of in averages works itself out, right? Because a playing path like that, I understand why you get those weirder hot drop scenarios, and especially when it comes to military island circles as well, which I feel like actually we get quite a few in PUBG Mobile as a whole. But that far south on military island means there's a lot of open land here. Actually, I do have one bit of analysis though for this game, because that gif of that guy like sweating, like like playing really, really aggressively, and then there's the other dude just being like, I'm still standing, just chilling. That's BTR in the compound. But then you got Xavier sweating, trying to get onto the land, you know, from the rock that they were on, playing it out, and at least they got 11 points off the back of it, whilst BTR was chilling.
You know, I think BTR were just sitting there in that match thinking about the Frost Festival, currently live in PUBG Mobile. You guys can download the update and participate yourself, thinking about how do I want to eliminate people? Going down a mountain on a snowboard, turn them into a snowman. I don't know, maybe they can figure something out later. Not to mention the popularity gala going on for 2023. It's happening once a year, and you guys can participate by playing from November 15th to December 19th with 10 1v1 matches to potentially win some exclusive rewards you can show off to your friends. Or maybe they're thinking about the sweet Pagani collaboration within PUBG Mobile. They can get themselves onto our model or the Imola. Maybe they're thinking about their next ride they want to use in the future. And last but not least, maybe they want to end things off with a nice little victory dance live within to support Pmgc live within the game. Now you guys can pick it up and support your favorite team, and obviously BTR are probably going to be supporting themselves. But we're going to go ahead and throw it on over to a break here because we have to get things ready for our next Erangel of the day. It's going to be our halfway point of day one. We'll see you all on the other side. Oh man, I'm seeing that hot water bottle there and I'm getting really jealous. I've played a lot of the Frost Festival here actually in my apartment right now. We're about to head into our next Erangel, and I'm honestly hoping we're going to have more of a normal match, more of a game than a non-game game, if you guys catch my drift here. But right now, Bigatron are leading the charge here, straight through into first place, and looking pretty confident and pretty well put together for what's coming down the line. But I do want to kind of pick your guys' brains. Inko, IHC, is it happening again, Maximin?
No. We're going to have a good playing path,
Easy.
and they're going to think, maybe we don't want to die in the first 5 minutes of each match. So no hot drop, please. Thank you, Inko.
Well, I know two gentlemen who are hoping for a hot drop themselves. It's going to be, what did he call it?
Blanky.
Blanky?
Yes.
Something close to that, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. How does that not make sense to you, Jason? Jackie, blanky.
The blanky.
We're warm, we're encompassing, you know, make you feel safe.
Come on. It's not that hard, bro. Please. It's quite a simple mismatch of the two names, you know? Like, you guys would be Jay Laris, man. Like, bang. Easy.
Jay Laris, man. That's my favourite boy band, actually. They're a really good K-pop group. Jay Laris, man.
Jay Laris, man.
God damn.
Oh, I have to wait for their new hit single coming soon to
Hot Drop Drop.
Hot Drop Drop. But yeah.
Frost Festival.
With all the cars involved too. But yeah, heading straight over towards our second Erangel of the day. And after this, just 3 more matches to pump those points up. We got BTR on our screens. Man's got a bit of a headache, but he's got the cool and soothe on the head. He's ready to go.
Man, all right. Here we go, Blank. I mean, already today, it's been interesting the way the game's been going. The way the PUBG Mobile winds of competition are blowing. And I tell you what, they're blowing in one direction, and that's the Mad Balls are kind of getting blown over. It's like walking down a windy street in England, and a bin comes flying at you. You've got to jump out the way as quick as you can, because Mad Balls kept getting hit by that proverbial bin, and it's not been ideal for him. It's been kind of rough, you know, at least into the last game, being able to squeeze a couple of points out, get a little bit going for him. But you've got to do better than that, because we're already at the halfway point. And that's the kind of crazy thing, right? It's like trying to hammer that home. 12 games might sound like a big number. You know, 12, yeah, it's decent, but it's really not. Like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not. It's tiny number, Blank. We're already at game 3.
Small number. We're all a quarter of the way through. I think that's mad. Almost 25% done. I'll say in every which way I like. This is a ridiculously speedy format, and some of these teams definitely need to get a groove on. And I mean, you know, we talked about Mad Balls, they're suffering as well. Like you said, at this rate, you know, the bin's going to fly at them. They're going to be finding themselves in the bin, taken away by the bin man, and won't be going to PMGC Grand Finals at this rate, despite a really strong performance over in their survival stage. Some of these other teams towards the bottom need to really get themselves into a position where they can hit those points further as well. I think one team I'm looking at that I'm a bit worried about is Inco Gaming. You know, some of these hot drops, they ain't working out for you at the moment. And honestly, for Inco, need to think about perhaps dropping elsewhere, away from teams. Yes, you're getting a couple of points off the rip, but that's about it. Circle heads up towards the western side. South though, once again, a little bit of Sosnovka involved, but that will mean that some of the rotations from some of the teams that drop in Nova Rep Noya, maybe towards the north side of Sosnovka, will have a fairly decent rotation to get up towards Ferry Pier in that late game. But pretty consistent in terms of the playing path and where people can get to on this game. Team Queso, I'm looking for another banger of a match here, in a team that's massively exciting me. But if we look down towards the bottom of the tables right now, Mad Balls aren't the only ones in danger. We have Reject, 4 placement points only found in that last game. Nigma Galaxy really trying to push their limits in terms of getting some strong rotations in, but that's not been working for them. Brute Force and Duxan equally looking fairly miserable towards the bottom of the lobby.
Shame for Duxan as well, man. You know, hoping that we would have seen them keeping a bit of that momentum they had over survival stage coming out into these games. Obviously, even there, it wasn't the most squeaky clean sort of affair. It was still kind of scraping by for them. But yeah, one of our only remaining South Korean representatives here. So we'd like to see a little bit of oomph from them. Reject Tokyo as well. It's such a shame how, you know, you think back to regulation in Group Green, where they were mere points away from having that automatic qualification to the finals. Instead, they've had to slog their way through. And fair play to them, you know, you're still in the runnings. You have made it here at least, all the way to the last chance. But it feels like the longer it's gone on, the less we've seen that true test of themselves. So for Reject, I would love to see that facelift come in here on this Erangel. I'd love to see them start to building up points and showing that they can push for a top 5 finish by the end of it. They're a really fun team to watch, but you've just got so much talent in these lobbies. I suppose that's why it is just so hard to call, especially when some of the names that maybe we didn't expect to you know, really pop off from the get-go have come out swinging today. Like Rook have had some blinders in terms of playing to the best of their setups. Queso as well. Their rotate's been really good, man. They've had me impressed every time. If that maintains, that's great. They seem to understand the way to play around this lobby like the back of their hand. And even you do Alliance. Like, that's another team that, you know, it feels like they kind of would stick their head up, sometimes make a few cameos. Now they're like one of the main characters, Blank.
Yeah, they've been brought into the next season as that mainstay. And it's been great to see. I think for those squads like Reject, it's a question of whether they're out of breath at this point in time because they have been sprinting all tournament long. Like you said, just the barest amount of points away from getting that direct invite. And you just wonder if this team is now out of juice with how much they've had to play and how hard they've had to try to get themselves into this last chance after being so close to the finish line multiple times. Looking at the teams towards the top side, you're right. Udo Alliance starting to be that main character now. And I think that from their survival stage, it felt more like they got a little bit lucky sometimes, but they are really bringing the heat now coming into this final day. They look happy though still. And I think this thing I love from this team at the moment is they look so pleased with themselves. They look very much like they've got a great mindset coming into last chance. And that's what it takes sometimes. You can see some of the other teams when we look over on the cams, this vehicle is just, it's not doing well for him, right? Just go for the 4-man vehicle. It's fine. Sack that bad boy off. But yeah, for some of the other teams over on the player cams, they look stressed out. They look nervous, man.
They do. And I think that human element of it as well, you know, just seeing the body language sometimes really does give you a pretty good insight into the mentality of the players. Because at the end of the day, you know, it is that human part of esports, right? Sometimes the pressure really can make a difference. Shots that you normally hit, plays that you normally make, even comming sometimes, Blank, is nowhere near as clean as it can be if you're not having the best day of it. If the games aren't going your way, if your mental's not there, it knocks on to everything. And then your team isn't playing as good, as quick as they normally would be. And we've noticed that, you know, you think about Gladiators especially, we've seen the sheer contrast of days when Gladiators look slumped over in their chairs versus days when Gladiators are smiling, laughing. It's the difference of them winning games, making plays. It really is. So just having that extra bit of confidence early into the day here, it can do wonders for you. And I think that's something that probably BTR and Rook are quite happy with because they've got some moves where you're thinking, yeah, you know what? We are having a good day. We're coming out swinging today. We just got to play to our strengths.
Yeah, it's amazing getting that first win of the day as well. Getting a good game right off the rip on Sandhawk really changes exactly how things go for you. For Reject, for this team, going down to 2 players twice and still trying to live towards the end of the games off the back of it, horrible idea. And you can even see it in their gameplay right now where they're just fearful of taking any kind of engagement. Right now, they'll pick themselves up a compound fairly far down towards that south side. If you're Mela, you're feeling rather comfortable. You got the hot water bottle on the lap. You're having a great time of it. But for Faze, still 4 points. Yes, they made it in by the skin of their teeth. Basically made it in by the skin of Mela's teeth because this guy was absolutely crushing it when it came to the DBS play up close and personal. Basically the shotgun king of the lobby.
Oh yeah, he was huge yesterday. You know, Mela was the madman from Faze. He kind of was the one-man army, and especially in a game where you were a stone's throw away from not even making it. You know, it was D+ at one point that had stolen the 1 point necessary to survive, to make it into this stage. Instead, Faze, if you missed it, you did yourself a disservice because it was fantastic. Great game for them yesterday to close out the day. And that's also another reason where, you know, we were kind of sat there saying, hey, Faze haven't looked like themselves, you know, kind of been playing a little bit slow, not the same sort of team we were seeing. And then in an instant, they kind of snapped back to the squad that we wanted to see from them. I hope there's more of that. I hope that trend continues, Blank. You know, it'd be nice to see Faze putting up a good run for themselves, at least giving some of our other big squads a run for their money, because the talent is there. And I think in the way they managed to qualify, even to have a chance to fight to go to the finals, they want to give themselves the best case, because we know this is a good team. You know, they just got to show us that.
Yeah, it's a frustrating scenario where you know a team has more in them, but it requires you to dangle them off the edge of a cliff and say, show me your best game, show me your best game, before they actually start doing something good. So I think that for Faze, it can't be something that happens just as I'm plying the fingers off, right? That can't be the case, right? I don't want to see them qualify at the last moment. I want to see some good points coming out from Faze. We know they have them in them. The moment one team that has sort of surprised me a little bit in the same sense, but on the other spectrum of things, is Influence Rage. What a strong team that just hasn't had that same firepower coming into this beginning of the last chance. There's still multiple games left remaining for them to do it, but right now, 7th place, you know, I sort of expect this team to come out swinging, just hit straight up towards the top 5 and then just remain there for the rest of the tournament. It was one of the few teams that I think me and you, plus the desk, could say that we were pretty confirmed to get in towards the grand finals off the back of last chance.
I think so. I think so indeed, man. Let's have a look at what we got going on here, though, for now. The Pmgc punishment that could be developing. Queso on the move up the hill. That's Enigma Galaxy that are inside of the compound down towards Pmgc and set up in position. Meanwhile, Mad Balls are on the move as well. All of them in their respective vehicles as they're burning rubber and looking to find contact. Now, if they were a few seconds quicker, Brute Force would have still been here, but Brute Force have started to breeze off and create a little bit of space between them both. And they're somewhat distanced as well. A lot of spacing between each member of Brute Force. So if timing would have been slightly different, could have been an opportunity to snatch away potentially a few pot shots. Instead, they'll just set themselves up inside of the compound and see if there's room for that fight to happen a little bit later. Looking up towards the positioning we've got here as well, man. It's mad just how much this is going to be awkward in terms of the rotates for some big names. You got Faze IHC, Rook and Gladiators effectively all going to have to fight their way through each other to find safe passage back down in towards the new zone. That could be a little bit rough. Inco on the move as well now, starting to roam somewhat. They were on Sivnovska for quite some time. They've jumped in the vehicle and looked to try and get back into the playable space now.
Yeah, Franco, a bit more of a safe game, we could say, right? You know, trying to play this one out a little bit more comfortable. IHC dropping on top of them. They don't opt to leave it, but this time around, Nova Upnoya by themselves. Wait it out before crossing the bridge. Don't try and go for a quick send towards the center of the circle this time around. And I think that's a much needed change for Inco. I think they realize that as 5 points, sort of need to get something consistent done on this match. BTR spot the other Indonesian team inside the lobby. It's Procedure Evo. Zuxi takes some fantastic shots over towards Gemforce as he's roaming around in the front line. Team Queso take a tumble of their own. I think that's just dropping out the vehicle a little bit too early there. We'll take a knock off the back of it. But yeah, an interesting circle. Stage 3 about to pop here. Could be a Pmgc finish. Maybe, Jackie.
Might be, mate. The urban combat. There's definitely some squads that would be pretty happy with the idea of a Pmgc final fight with how many times we've seen squads like DX thrive in the carnage that occurs there. Luxy. Looking out the window here, he's seen the whole convoy, looking to line it up and see if maybe there was a chance he could deal damage on the drive-by. Meanwhile, there's a full frontal assault going on here as it's Big Milo. Madman's coming in, swinging with the DBS. Gets a few close connections off. Ooh, Daredevil level plays on the back of the motorbike, but it's not quick enough as Enigma Galaxy are absolutely ruined there, Blank. The showmanship, a 10 out of 10. Survivability, not there.
Really not there. I mean, put all your points into the wrong thing, I would say. For Team Queso, good defense with the assist coming through from Reject, but Enigma Galaxy, 13th place. Again, this is what we saw from their first day in survival stage, right? It's just some of these awkward rotations, misplaced trust in the positioning. And I think for Enigma Galaxy, it's something they fixed on day 2, right? That's going to get you into a top 7, a top 8. It's not going to get you into a top 5 if you leave it all down to tomorrow. And with some really big squads here with us in last chance, in a more committed lobby, I don't think it's possible to be pulling the boots up in day 2. So I think for Enigma Galaxy, 3 more really strong games are required if they want a chance into tomorrow. Because some of these other teams towards the top side, they're going to keep moving away with those points, especially if you're feeling comfortable, like Team Queso, like BTR. Now you realize you're in strong position. Just put up some valuable points from game to game. Try and get a big one to finish things off. Pressure is kind of dimming for these guys at the top side, but certainly raising massively for these teams towards the bottom, especially for teams like Enigma Galaxy and Reject, who have just not been finding positions within the circle.
Yeah, you're already starting to fall into that position where wow, it's dangerous. That is dangerous. Big Milo, man. How is he so damn good at the minute? Headshot connection instantly on the player, whizzing by at about 100 miles an hour, peels him back. Hits the first shot, but now the pressure's on. Gladiators have been able to breach the compound, and they're using their utility up close. DBS spotted for Tixi, doesn't fancy his chances. Throws the nades, get away, tucks back into the corner. Kitsune supporting outside. Good moves for the adjustment shot. Whoa, hello. Big nade, though. And of course, it had to be from main man Milo, didn't it? Arced that one over the top of the roof to hit onto them. So Gladiators slow down in their clash. Meku gets into the building to support towards Kitsune. Papi Potro waiting for the peak as well. Tixi scared the peak, running back and forth. The blue zone now coming in, so this situation only gets more awkward.
Yeah, will force the guys from Gladiators to push a little bit further forward, and Big Milo just holding the angle, spots out over towards Tixi. Instant re-knock over towards Kitsune as we are in stage 4. Almost impossible to make happen. Meku tries to move out, but will get shut down by Team Queso, who have been holding on so fantastically well in all these matches. Just Big Milo, Papi Potro, the duo, the godly duo here, keeping things alive for themselves. Udo Alliance off in the distance, taking shots over towards BTI. You got Rook as well onto Udo Alliance. This is all popping off all around the map as we head over towards Potato Hill. But look at this. It's Inco versus Influence Rage. Two Brazilian teams battling it out.
Oh, the LATAM lunacy is occurring here. The battle of the Brazilian squads. Pack blown clean off as Federal's able to clean up with the DBS on the ground floor. Ignites the top as well. Heat's rising, but in the wrong way for Inco. As Vital, he's getting more and more pressure put on him. Tries to back nade down the stairs and inflict damage with that utility. Has a flashbang and smoke to work with as well. All of them losing about 15% of their HP there, so at least taking a few slivers of health off them. But hard committing to this play is not going to be easy. Vitali really now just in a horrible position. He'd basically have to go for a risky maneuver, diving out of the window and looking to take the fight to them. They're just replying with nades. Both of them going to exchange at the same time. That one's on target and he's gone.
Yeah, you had to make a risky maneuver there, did you, for Vitali to try and keep things in check. Nice nade there from Rami. Should shut down Prepod directly behind. If that wasn't enough, the Molotov would have done it directly afterwards. Lovely plays coming through from Rook Esports. It's Mad Bulls off towards their western side, though, looking to potentially push in on over the top of them after the stop. Off the back of that fight versus Brute Force, Mad Bulls might be able to find something off this one, but there's DX waiting in the wings as well towards the top side of Potato Hill. We know this team excels from high ground positions, but this is all uphill from now on, from any team over towards the edge side of the lobby, pushing up towards DX. Potato Hill, a very interesting position for this game to end. Sort of possible to hold basically one side of Potato Hill only. So you can have two teams comfortably holding towards Potato Hill on both the east and western edge. But for DX right now, currently the only onus towards this top side. Faze managed to get a little bit further up, and Mad Bull's still been pushed in by the circle. A lot of big names remaining in the lobby at the moment.
A lot of talent. And still some of our squads that are towards the bottom. In Reject, Faze, Mad Bulls, they're all still alive on this one. And with the other lower squads already falling out of commission, might be some room for them to spread their wings a little bit, try and get a little bit higher. Because remember, you have to pass that 5th place barrier, and it is not going to be easy. Faze here takes the fight to Mad Bulls, and they're still stuck in the mud. They've been struggling today. Oh, even on the engagement, jumping out of the vehicle, it's not looking crisp at all as they get slain down. Rook holding strong on the defense. Good adjustment shots as they connect onto the player whizzing by. Utility comes out to force Fleek off his angle, but he hits one. Nice nade, good placement, survives the damage done back onto him as well with just a sliver of his HP. Doubles up for 2 onto Rook and rocks the boat a little bit.
Yeah, I think for Mad Bulls, other than Fleek, pretty insane maneuvers coming out from them. The drive-by, almost suicidal from a couple of the squad mates, and Flique left all on his lonesome to try and pick up the pieces here and accrue as many points as possible off the back of it, able to drop the team back up to 4 eliminations total. Rami attempting to get closer. Nade pulled out here for Flique, doesn't want to head too far back though and expose himself to the guys from the side of Faze. Nade just explodes a little bit too early there in front of the tree. See if the next one will be able to do it versus Rook Esports. Reject now on our screens, looking towards Papi Potro. Currently at 4 members on the squad. Best chance that we've seen Reject having a long time.
Alex, impact fragger, normally a big man for IHC. But he's gone down, left on his last legs. His red face will be able to hit that shot. Jumps in the vehicle as well, so the buggy's on the move. Misery starting to put the pedal down and close the gap between them and the other squads around. Look at the line here, the wall of Reject Tokyo as well, as they're advancing as a unit, starting to push up onto IHC and see if they can put the clamps down on them. Smokes up either side, vehicles as well for info. Getting another one in the middle for good measure. Lufa just playing as the scouting man, the point man, up close for information. Fight breaking out between DX and Evos. IHC engage onto Reject, and it's clean for the first 2. Demo's burning though, goes up like Ghost Rider as he falls to Sarah biceps, and it falls down to what we're looking at here. Reject fragmented blank with only 2 players alive right now.
Yeah, brilliant little nade there over towards IHC. The Molotov burning them up, but Lufa's taking more damage as Faze starts to sweep down from that north side. A team that we wanted to do and excel in this game, right? Do very well in this one. It looks like they're starting to bring things up to speed. DX holding on the eastern side, Faze holding over towards the west. This is what we talked about earlier in terms of being able to hold only certain portions of Potato Hill. Very impossible to go for a 4-man split on this side of things. So Faze, mutual agreement with DX, or at least until the end of the game, but it is Influence Rage putting massive amount of damage over towards Besiege Evos, who are trying to reset things here. They're just on the outside skirt here of the blue. We'll have to move further in, but the nades are absolutely devastating.
And this is a big one for the shift right now in the points as well. Influence Rage are going to be happy that they're the squad to take them down, as that means that they add more points to their eliminations for this game. And that's the squad that's right next to them as well in the standings as well. So good pickup for them. They're going to be content they finished them off. We get the lay of the land with the bird's eye view here as well. And you can see not much space. And that was a commodity because it's only going to get smaller now. Tiny circle to play off of. So many squads still alive as well in terms of this one. You're all going to be shoulder to shoulder. Faze are right on top of DX with Udo Alliance lurking off towards the wayside. Reject and IHC are basically sharing a rock right now, and they come in with a car. Good connections on the drive-by. Lufa the gangster blows them to bits, and they hard commit onto this. Alex is still alive and kicking, but with the range disadvantage from the shotty, it's not looking too crisp for him. Has to close the gap somewhat. Gets in the face of Lufa and strikes against him. Sarah tries to reply, but he's taking bullets from the back. That's Mella, the Faze superstar, pulling up. In the meantime, Alex will fall, and IHC are gone.
But it made it so difficult for Reject there, did Alex. He's such a good player when it comes to those 1v2, 1v3s. Doesn't ever stop to anticipate, to wait where they might be going. He just makes the plays. Sarah darting backwards and forwards, but it's not enough as Levi's finds his number from the top side of things. And DX, we know what this team can do from a bit of high ground. Basically, the Eagles of the lobby swooping in when it's needed. Influence Rage down towards the bottom side. It feels like all the teams we were talking about at the start of this match are starting to do well here in this game. And it's Udo Alliance. Again, the Malaysian squad impressing. Down on this southeast side, managed to get themselves to another end game here. Looking like they might even be going through towards the Pmgc Grand Finals at this rate if they're able to keep it up. Huge amount of utility on every single team. Influence Rage, the only squad to have lost a member so far. This is going to be a crazy finish.
Everything's got to be picture perfect here, Blank. Devil's going to be lurking in the details. And the details could very well just be the utility usage alone. With such large stocks on everyone, so many of these teams being very proficient with the utility, especially DX. I'm thinking of the fact they've got those 16 grenades to play with. DX normally so damn good at lining them up for timed grenades, but they might not get a chance to because the timing is called in for a rush. Faze Clan want to close the distance and take the fight directly towards the awkward angle. Chow, how has he lost that? It felt like on the roof there, with the geometry providing him some extra protection, he should have had a free opening frag. Instead, it's 2 knocks now. DX are crumbling, Blank. They are broken.
There's some ridiculous bold plays coming out from the guys on Faze. In the meantime, Udo Alliance, they smell blood in the water. They swing up from the south side, look to backstab over towards DX. Faze ready for this. Another banger of a nade comes through from Mela as he moves up. You start to see the utility coming through from the side of Udo Alliance. One knocks down Mormon. Ventores heads up close, will finish off Lamborghini, but it's starting to get very, very scary now for Faze. Another nice nade over the top, won't take down Ventores. Onzens has to be really good close range, but it's in fact Ventores with the DBS. Finishes off Audio, the star player from that squad. He swings off to the side and backs up to the rest of the team. Udo Alliance were expecting this kind of clapback coming through from Faze in this moment.
Oh, nades over the top. Oof, that one's rough for Ventores. He's dropped down on his last legs now. Faze, they thought that they were untouchable. They thought that they had some smooth moves coming into this fight, but they have been destroyed by the grenades. One after another, the human mortars of Udo Alliance berate them and barrage them with the detonations. Cluck goes in to close it out. Quick switch to the secondary, and the M4 will maul as Faze are finished. Udo Alliance versus Influence Rage in the head-to-head now.
Great push there coming through from Faze. Really caught DX off guard, but it's Udo Alliance with some nice timing. With a circle, heading down towards the south side. Influence Rage realizes they've been giving themselves a chance here. Potential to maybe get themselves a chicken dinner as Udo Alliance have to swing off the top side. But the best part about this, Jackie, is they already know. They've cleared out the eastern side of the map. They can swing back down that way if they want to. They're going to pick up as much utility, as many nades, as many bits of kit, as many first aid kits as possible from all the death crates on this side. But that wizard tower is still open, still available for them. Influence Rage realizes this. We're actually starting to see them swing back down now as Flak scouts out over towards that side. But they're setting themselves up a bit of a crossfire here. 3 players apiece.
Flax peeking over the side of the hill now. Federal spotted him. Ooh, his back's exposed though, Blank. Mini 14's happening. The DMR singing out sweet nothings, but it's not going to land on target. Won't be able to shut the man down just yet. Playing these solo angles as they get themselves into some better positions to play off of. So much high ground for Udo Alliance. They're in a really great spot here. The potential of picking up a chicken dinner is good for them. And they've been playing some blinders. Just got to keep it clean on this one. Influence Rage, so good in firefights though, so never count them out at a time like this. They're going for the wide berth. A large rotate and hoping that the focus will remain on the 2 players that are staying in position. He's closed the gap. Flax gets in right on top of the compound. Lil Boy's forced to drop Blank.
That's some speedy maneuvers. Tanner early, understanding that's one of the safe locations for a player to head into inside that building, or if that's just off the cuff, exploding the gas canister. We barely ever see gas canister eliminations in PUBG Mobile, let alone in the Pmgc Last Chance. They're laughing about it. What an incredible bad for them at the start there. Udo Alliance coming flying in with Flax on the front line, but wow, Influence Rage really stepping things up. This is what we wanted to see from this team towards the middle part of the day, because those first couple of games, yeah, they looked decent. They looked like Influence Rage had a control on it, but they weren't exactly blasting out of control. This was a great game from both Lil Boy and Federal to hold it down.
Yeah, huge game there. And that's what we wanted to see, man. We needed to see them starting to actually get back into a position where they're commanding respect, Blank, you know, where they're not just sort of going through the motions, where they are looking a lot more like they are going to be taking to this. They are going to be taking elims. And with the heads-up play that we were seeing, like you were saying, mechanically as well, it's good. I think that is actually a play that Influence Rage seems to be running a little bit, because I'm remembering now back even into, you know, the past couple of days we had with Survival Stage, there was a few times where they would kind of throw down gas cans and set them up, and I wasn't too sure what the mindset was with it, but it seems like that is a common play now, where they are trying to preset them in some angles. And honestly, if that's calculated, that's something they're running, that's a huge strategy, because it's been working for them. Smart moves, big pickups, a chicken dinner under the belt. Let's get back over to the desk and see what they thought about that one.
Well, we thought Influence Rage finally getting a game that they needed to get themselves up in the leaderboards, because they were outside of top 5. But this match, I mean, it kind of was very reminiscent of our prior Erangel with BTR holding the compound with Xavier on Potato Hill, until we obviously saw a great push come out of Faze and, of course, Alliance Udo.
Yeah, there's actually a lot more to talk about at the end of this match. The early game was a bit like, oh, Potato Hill is going to be very important. Possibly Xavier are going to end up getting the win, but the way the Faze pushed up, especially because they realized, Clarence, right away, okay, Xavier on this mountain, we see them, they are massively split. If we just push on a soloed out play or two, we can then start to create a man advantage for ourselves and then just sweep the entire fight. Of course, they do get third party, but man, Faze, that was a very good approach on that Potato Hill fight.
Yeah, I talk about it every time we get to Potato Hill. You cannot hold all of Potato Hill with just one squad. Like, it's not feasible. You have to regroup, you have to get together, and Xavier was not warm into that whatsoever. Faze took an exploitative measures against them. Likewise, so did Alliance as soon as they realized that that was going on. And Alliance continues on into the later stages of the game. Now, going up against Influence Rage, I think the Influence Rage gave them quite a lot of room to start moving around to find a bit of a vantage point against them. But man, there's so many cool moments. The gas can elimination as well. Just great crisis management in the heat of the moment here to be able to weed out Alliance when they made what you called, Max, was technically a great move, hitting that compound on the wide wrap, but just a little bit too late, I think, and not enough men.
Yeah, I would have preferred to see maybe the previous circle shift, not Phase 8. I think you do that on Phase 7, so you have a little bit more breathing space to maybe heal up if you can have the chance of doing so. But because Influence Rage have multiple angles covered, the only way to really kind of lock down a fight while you're isolated from the two other angles set up by Influence Rage is if you crash west of that building that Law was playing. If you do that, you can fight pretty much a 3v1 at that point, and Influence Rage shouldn't have time to regroup, really. So I was expecting that to be the play, but it doesn't matter, because here, with the amount of eliminations they were able to secure here, it's going to be Udo Alliance securing himself a spot in top 1, 2 points away from Influence Rage. So man, Udo Alliance bringing the heat on this last chance.
I mean, yeah, but you also have Team Queso in 3rd, you have Rook in 5th, but looking down the list is what kind of worries me. Enigma Galaxy in 14th place with only 4 points, and those came from eliminations. Inko there, Mad Bull's there as well. It's getting a little bit worrying here for some of these teams, and honestly, I think all 3 of us would have said coming into today, Mad Bull should be one of the teams in top 5, and I know we're only 3 matches in, but I'm getting a little bit worried to not see any sort of consistency out of quite a few of these teams.
Yeah, we said it right for Mad Bulls. We want to see how the bad games look, right? We want to see more consistent points coming their way, which as of right now hasn't been the case, though. It's a very small point gap. Even teams at the bottom, it's only 3 matches played, can catch up, but I do agree that Mad Bulls, we want to see a bit more when they're just not able to perform.
And especially interesting for Enigma Galaxy when it comes to a circle like this, where, you know, they're in Pachinki. They have the pick of the litter when it comes to initial spots to actually transition to. They choose Pachinki Hill south of Pachinki, which becomes not exactly the greatest opportunity for them, because then they're having to transition through teams as it shifts east. So it may be a bit unfortunate in that, but at the same time, this is Enigma Galaxy. They should be able to fight in circles, and it's not materialized yet.
Any thoughts, Max?
I agree.
You agree?
No, well, it's a good point. I mean, of course, you expect Enigma Galaxy, the drops close to do well, but there's been a lot of really interesting fights at the end. I especially was super happy with Yudu Alliance, not how they played the late game stage, because I think you could have executed that a bit better. But the awareness of third party and Faze versus Deke Xavier on Potato Hill, that was really, really good timing. They saw the elimination feed light up, and they're like, okay, we are still 4 players alive. We have cars available that they hid, I think, behind a Harry Potter tower on the east. Quickly just ramp up there, pick up all the final eliminations that allow them to now rank up first place thanks to that third party. It's just after it went downhill for the next circle. But man, Yudu Alliance have, I would say, sped up how quickly they respond to situations from purely the survival stage in the last chance. I'm really liking the speed at which they do these.
Yeah, it's so much so that, sorry to interrupt you, Jason, is that actually they're one of the most successful edge playing teams right now. Like, which is very impressive to see. Like, they're taking big chunks of area, fanning out really far in circles, phase 1, 2, and 3, playing edge successfully, which you don't see too many teams doing right now. Most teams are trying to edge towards that kind of center play and trying to focus all of their attention on that. But yeah.
Okay, well, I believe it is time to head into our final Erangel of the day. We'll see which teams can rise up here, Faze being one of them in particular, but we're going to find out with Jackie and Blank once again.
Last Erangel of the day already. God, it feels like they're going by so damn quickly, Blank. It's kind of crazy just how fast they have gone, man.
It's been like a very, very fast day of quick gameplay and teams rising to the challenge, right? Yudu Alliance, I think, certainly have been able to do that. And again, I would attribute that a little bit to their mindset, but also what the guys talk on the desk is they're very, very good at playing that edge playstyle, right? Some of their third parties have been very strong. They're quick on the trigger as well, confident with it. Their nades on that last game versus Faze were absolutely phenomenal, and Faze got completely caught off guard. Though, I will say, super happy with how Faze played that last game. I think we were scared that that would just be their last hurrah in survival stage and we wouldn't get to see too much of that firepower from that team. But great news for the Thai team on that side that are able to bring back some of that firepower in those final moments, especially with VPE, Vampire Esports, not actually making it into the grand finals, getting cut out quite early on in this PMGC format. Having at least one Thai team getting through to there, especially with how much work they've done this year overall, would be very, very cool to see. But they've still got a long way to go just so far. Jackie right now in 8th place, 18 points, with some of our top contenders, Yudu Alliance and Influence Rage, at 35 and 33 points apiece. So really hitting their stride now.
So many teams starting to spread their wings and swoop down into the depths of earning those points. Last chance saloon on Erangel for the day. Then after this, it's the back-to-back Miramars. Miramar is just such a different kettle of fish. It feels like the results we're going to be seeing will be vastly different to what we've had here. Plane path secured, though, from bottom to the top as we see this bad boy coming in. I wonder what we're going to be getting out of this one. We've actually had a few hot drops today, which I think has been one of the more surprising things. I didn't expect the risky fights today, but they've been happening. Will we get another one? Time will tell.
I think some of the risky fights have been happening because some of these teams realize they have to take risks if they want to get towards that top side of the lobby. But you're right, our last Erangel of the day, last chance to get some of those reliable points in. Enigma Galaxy, who did show us some really strong stuff, not now able to get some of those strong rotations in, with these teams very much reading into them quite easily, getting to their positions early, and those spots are open. And Enigma Galaxy is a great team when it comes to playing center, but I think they need to start realizing that if that center is too far away from them, they can't afford to be going for these quick flyby rotates into the circle itself, because you will be denied by the gun skill that is available inside this lobby. Circle off towards the western edge, so a lot of fielded area involved, not too many compounds in this spot either. Could be heading down towards Quarry, could head up even up towards Everest. So some of these teams are a little bit more upset about this, and especially as we don't have Primos teams available, we don't have western edge teams available. Realistically, it's Faze, Gladiators and Team Queso are getting the best bet out of this one. Duxan already in a really bad spot. Junie getting chased down by one of the players there, I believe, from Rook Esports, who dropped down towards this South Island in Sosnovka. He's going to really struggle to get that vehicle quickly stolen away from him in the early game. We'll just try and run it back here as Pusher comes in too. The rest of Duck Sign up towards Ferry Pier. Very unlikely that Junie gets away from this one. There is a bike off in the distance. Needs to start moving off towards the right-hand side. See if he spots it now.
Junie, like the old saying goes, get on your bike. We'll see if he's able to jump on that bad boy and stay alive. Meanwhile, it seems like Butcher Pete has made an appearance, mate, as he's been bladed. Inco losing the first man to the blade. That's rough. That is really unfortunate for them. I think it was them last time that we saw up against IHC as well on the initial combat. So a similar job that we're seeing here with the opening moments between the both of them.
Yeah, IHC really playing Inco like a fiddle at the moment because they didn't drop down towards Novorep Noya last game, potentially giving Inco a little bit of false hope in terms that this is not going to be a hot drop that happens again. But IHC come out with a surpriser, drop over towards Novorep Noya once again on top of Inco, find the first initial knock, and Inco is struggling now. 6 points total this entire 3 matches. Now looking like they might not find a little bit more because we know how hungry IHC is when it comes to those stragglers. They do not let you escape from these games. Luckily, Inco's on the outside edge, which might give them a chance to get away from this one. But I think IHC is going to force them to fight.
That's what IHC want. Further ahead in points, so it only benefits them. Ooh, you do Alliance, or should I say one man armed with a bison cowering in the back of the building as BTR have tracked him down. They've been hot on his tail. Ooh, running back and forth here as well, trying to bait them in. Cluck grabs the gas can and looks for the quick reset on the stairs. Follows up with a pump from the shotty as well. Wide swing around the corner, pre-fire on the bison. You've got so many bullets in that bad boy that you can afford to, especially with a follow-up nade as well. They're going for the res down the bottom of the stairs. 3 players here. If he can bank the nade off the wall, it could be sickening. Instead, it's only a sliver of damage done. They're going to throw a nade of their own up through the window. He dives out, trying to land onto the roof. He's down on the deck now. Shotty in his hands. A 1 versus 4 to be had here for Cluck.
It's going to be almost impossible to make happen. The rest of the team from Udo Alliance do find their way over, but too little too late as Iftar is forced to send away. Superboy with the AKM spray will not find himself another knock and elimination, but that's Udo Alliance down to 3 players. BTR quick on that. Didn't quite get the initial knock too cleanly, but they'll get away with this one with 4 players and elimination in hand. Brute Force decimating the guys from Influence Rage. There is a knock back over towards Neos, but it is currently the 3v2. Mine comes in, but pre-pod's down to Federal, and this is not as easy as Brute Force might have hoped it to be. Little boy moves away from the Wizard over towards the coastal edge on the rocks with the DBS, and this is going either way on this side. Brute Force, they lose pre-pod. Federal off in the distance. Mine tries to hit the shots, gets a nice headshot off the rip there, but that's about it.
Oh boy. Pushing back up through the trees, Influence Rage looking to just finish things off here, then onto Brute Force. Connections with the DBS will work well. Lil Boy scaling down the hill as well to get away from this, as Brute Force did not work out the way they wanted that to. You've lost so much for your investment, and potentially everything else could be going along with it. As they're starting to close the gap, they're starting to actually push their way up now and look for the full rotate round on the wayside. Room to breathe in terms of the spacing of one another. Brute Force also in the back, starting to at least look to maybe just go for the getaway on this, as you've realized your teammates' days are numbered. He's putting bullets into him, no blank, and actually finding a few knocks. They wanted to go for the res, so they smoke up, build the vehicle over. They do jump on it, but the nades are coming in, and it's a little bit too late. So both of them are finished off from that.
And Psige Evos also joined the fight now. Brute Force and Influence Rage like to go down this game with 0 players alive. A couple of eliminations found, yeah, but that's about it. Brute Force are able to get 2 off the back of this one, but in 14th place, running 3 points. This is a game where they desperately need to get something done, at least. A lot of teams towards the bottom of our standings right now with barely anything on board. You've got Redface rocking up. I don't think he knows where Lil Boy is. He's completely tucked in. With how spread these players are as well, it's sort of weird for Lil Boy to be in this position. He's pulled the pin on the grenade. Might be able to get himself a nice little double. Mine goes down to a nade from Luxy.
Luxy still pushing with this as well. Getting further over. That's two nice weapons to use for the close range combat here with the DBS. Takes bullets to the back from Brute Force, but he's saved by his teammate as the shots will connect and Brute Force are done. Removed here as they go down first, our opening squad to fall in the last game of Erangel today. Still lurking under the bridge for Influence Rage, waiting for the moves to be made. This is what we started off the game with, Inco versus IHC, and it's been going for quite some time. The longer it's gone on, the worse it's gotten for Inco, and it's only Rafa that's left. Has a bloody big gun though, with the LMG in his hands, so it's just about survival for him and seeing if he can make it costly for IHC on the way towards the exit.
Very costly for IHC. For Little Boy still going strong here versus the guys on Pmgc Evos. Able to find at least one elimination on that side, not making it easier for the Evos squad. And Little Boy certainly holding his own, and the blue pushing in, this does make life pretty stressful for Pmgc Evos because they want to get players back up in action. That's another one going down, but finally there is that refrag. Federal just sent off into the distance. We get our circle heading up towards that northwest side. Gladiators might have a chance in this game, but the way they've been playing, just losing players, hemorrhaging all over the place. One more player goes down for Inco. Rafa's out. And IHC, like we said before, they just do not allow stragglers to leave from these positions. Federal with a lovely splay over towards Mad Bulls as they attempt to make their way in on that eastern side. They're heavily tagged now, so if any other team spots them, gets a good team shot over towards them. What was that nade from Mormon? That is a long swing from him.
Big nades, big plays. That's what he loves going for. Classic main man Mormon on the scene. Ooh, for Federal, he's just on the move, trying to stay alive, really. An unlucky running for Influence Rage, considering how the prior game went, and we're starting to think that their stock is once again rising. It would be a shame if you fell out so early with only the 2 elims. So Federal's going to be thinking towards the future and wanting to just play for the slower, longer game here, just looking for those late game placements or potential plays where possible. So we'll join him on his journey the longer he survives. Meanwhile here you've got the rotate coming in as well from Reject Tokyo as they start to resituate themselves and get into a bit of a better position inside of the zone now. Looking for somewhere to set up, somewhere comfortable. It's been really rough for Reject over the course of the day. I mean, here at least as well, you've still got the full squad. Quite a few times in these games, we've seen them going down to a 3-man setup early, and that's been hard for them. They're one of those teams that if they have a full 4, if they can find center control, that's where they play their best. So need to see a bit of a heads-up change from them.
Yeah, it's just been really difficult for them to even find that center with so many of the teams been really fast on their rotates, been really good at playing central as well. You got teams like DX, you got teams like Influence Rage. Even, you know, Faze have been quite good at playing that position too. Team Queso have been on the rip when it comes to that central side. So a lot of those compounds towards the middle are already taken by some squads who have some really good momentum coming into this first day already. So Reject's been struggling, head towards that central side of the arena. So forced to play edge, which I don't think they are as good at, to be quite honest with you. But they are trying to get some points on board. Currently 11, but it's quite far behind. They still need to hit some more consistent points at the end of the day today. They've still got half of the day to get those points on board, with Miramar coming up after this Arangle. DX Xavier, on the other hand, currently playing down towards that southeast side. For the first time in a long time, Nigma Galaxy is able to get a fairly decent rotating over towards Gatka, but that's playing off the back of starting in Pachinki. It was quite a quick rotate, and again, this is one of those things where it's almost a false positive. If you're looking at them, they do well from this position, yeah, fine, but they had one of the easier rotations coming in towards this eastern edge early. But far west shift will give the chance that Reject were looking for. Gladiators now on that northern edge. do start to move down, get themselves towards a fairly decent position for themselves. They've played this quite a few times, Jackie, but they do get caught off by teams coming in from that eastern side as well, playing this spot. Not always able to hold on to all 4 members. When they play that buddy system, I think that's one of their biggest weaknesses, is they're not able to hold down these 2-2 splits as comfortably as they might like.
It's true, and that's the system that we're seeing Reject run here as well. It's like you were saying, it is one of the few opportunities they've had to be blessed by the zones. They kind of set up with this early 2-2 split, and you have a good spread in terms of the contact that could be occurring here as well. DX trying to push their way in, bypass the swamp and get into the new zone. But Madballs, they're gatekeeping and holding back the wave here. Got a good read of where DX are coming from and a nice bit of cover to play around as well, so you can't be shot from the hillside. You can set up for this one and start to deal damage as they go for their crossing. Lamborghini is miles away though, so far out of dodge. Look at this though, as Faze, they've got control of the long old building here, but they're starting to eat grenades as Gladiators are throwing them in through the windows, and they are just really trying to capitalize on this one. They've read the numbers because they've seen where everyone is, so they know they've got an advantage going for the fight towards the 2 players in the compound. But it doesn't matter that they're down numbers because Mella's there, and he is a mean machine. Meku's eating damage from the nade as well. Has to hop in the vehicle and go for the quick back off to reset. Lucky to be alive on that one.
Yeah, a lot of damage found by Meku. Had to play the patience game there as well, where he backed off from the UAZ as the nade was set on top of it. Kitsune off in the distance, took a heavy hit. And Faze is doing a really good job to hold on to this compound for themselves. In the meantime, Gladiators decide it's just not worth their time. They move out towards the coastal edge, try and pick up a compound in this area instead. They realize that, you know, some of the meds on the team not looking too strong. Meku just had that one first aid kit and it's gone down to none now. So they'll look off into the distance. And that would have been a lovely spot for Gladiators to take control of. But a dominant hold there coming through from Faze. And I love Vintorres' position as well. Down towards that south edge. Can have that little bit of a lethality factor from an unusual angle played in as you try and contest versus the guys from Faze. So I think that's a smart choice from Gladiators to leave that one alone, head up towards that northwest side. But Circle moves down, so they'll have to head on further. Udo Alliance, as well as Procedure Evos. Similar story for both of those teams, despite Procedure Evos getting into a fair few engagements early on. Still maintain 4 players right now. Nigma Galaxy, though, taking shots from IHC, who were not done on their warpath. This team just continues to pop off, and IHC's initial target in Inco will fall in this game, go down with 0 points once again.
So IHC finding those eliminations have given them just enough points to break into the top 5, pushing Rook out of position and stealing that away from themselves. The Mongolian madmen that have been looking really powerful into today's games. Ooh, unfortunately for them though, another star player goes down as Alex will be doled and taken out of commission. Duxan looking to finish what they started here in the fight versus Bigatron. So they go in for the bonnets, run the man down, and potentially just want to get a quick loot off on the crate as well. So smoke up on that one, give yourself some cover to play with. IHC lurking inside of the smokes are taking a fair amount of damage back from Nigma Galaxy, who have high ground to work with here. Coops has some good weaponry, dinner plate in the hands if he wants to peek out the window and go for a few pot shots. Team Queso off to the wayside as well, potentially debating if they want to try and rock up on this one. They can play the guard side of the circle and just edge keep anyone that starts coming in. Big Milo is even finding opportunities to fight onto Bigatron anyway, as they've actually aggressed towards him. Lepar looks for the quick trade back, firing off the warning shots, but that's all they are, just warnings.
Yeah, I think for BTR, they realize they sort of have to fight this one out. They need to control at least some area if they want to get in. But versus the 4-man squad of Team Queso, they just take some pot shots back towards them. Satar down off in the distance. IHC just roams on past with Duxan also taking a few more shots of their own. Really good stuff. Demo, though, will find Hoxie on his approach, and Duxan will lose him. Which is a very unfortunate thing, considering Duxan had a nice bit of control over towards his south edge. Now just down to 3 players, IHC find themselves 5 eliminations. So despite not getting massively far into a lot of these games, IHC is just making it up far more than not with just the elimination count alone. Olio tries to spray down Demo, but the shots coming through on the top sides. Duxan also spots him. The M249 ringing off in the distance.
For Rook, they're probably quite happy to see that IHC have been taken out finally, as it means they've got a chance to get a couple points back, build into this one, as they're the direct competitor with DX also close by, only a small fraction of points away. So a lot riding on this game here. This is our final Erangel, if you're just joining us. The free that we have each day normally is where a good chunk of teams will build themselves a stepping stone, a collection of points to play off of. After this, it's the Miramars, and it will get a lot more messy. Continuously having a lot of mess in the map here, though, as everyone's just scrapping countless loot boxes across the place, as we're seeing Rook start to aggress back onto Namiga, finding those as Nigma Galaxy are taking damage. Faze as well, suffering from a similar fate here. Faze were starting to find their second wind, but they might be winded from Gladiators. Mormont waiting for the rotate from his 2 teammates as Gladiators lurk further back. Default holding for the contact up there as well. Meanwhile, Queso and Bigatron have been sharing the compound here towards the bottom side. Big Milo's been having a blinder of a day. Won't even need to aggress onto Lapar as the nade will finish him off, so he's now shut down for good. For Bigatron, this is looking really rough.
Yeah, Superboy, last player alive. MK12 in hand. Will try to get something done off the back of it, but it's not going to work out there as Raze runs through. And that's a bit of a nice resupply. Level 3 vest as well on him. I wonder how damaged the level 3 helmet is. So for Team Queso, they'll be going forward with some crate weaponry as well that Superboy was able to pick up earlier on. Udo Alliance, last player in Flax, 2 eliminations to his name. Sends a nade out the window. Sand up close, will get taken down by him. And now 1 player remaining here for Duxan. Flies in towards the player inside. It's QX. Has to hit a nice nade over towards Flax. Gets it through the window. Will finish him off, but I don't think Duxan's long for this world either. With Team Queso off in the distance, I think they also realize they need to get further into the circle. Not sure how worth it is to try and even fight out versus this player.
Got to weigh it up. See if it's worth running the risks here. Queso knowing that it is just a single elimination that could potentially be stolen away if they can take down QX. He's just popping the meds, getting the extra adrenaline in to give himself some survivability, a bit more sustenance to play with. Smokes will shroud him for quite some time, and Big Milo is just holding, looking to see if there is an opportunity where he exposes himself. You can hit a few pot shots on him and shut him down. So just lurking over the edge there. Regit Tokyo off towards the horizon as well. Big Milo not wanting to outstay his welcome, so he starts to breeze off. FaZe Clan, they have overstayed their welcome. Gladiators don't want them so close by, and it looks like they're finally starting to push on up, but it's the damage done from Rook that we need to be focusing on, as they're the side that are obliterating them. The DMR plays are finding a resounding success here, as Eugene just keeps punishing bullet after bullet blank. They're losing so much HP and potentially going to lose their grip on this game.
Yeah, Gladiators just do not have the firepower in them anymore. There's just other teams within this lobby who are just so much more supremely deadly with the weaponry. Rami and Rook Eugene with those shots from the Mini 14 take down Gladiators easily in the process. Now we're just 2 players alive. Not likely Gladiators are going to get too much further into this match. FaZe held their own over towards that east for quite some time here. Do have to move further in, but it's DX that I'm sort of focused on here. A really strong position towards the central arena. Mad Bulls on their outer edge, so I do believe there's probably going to be a case where it's either a DX or a Mad Bulls win, unless Team Queso can slowly sweep their way in from that south side. And we know that they've been having a pretty nice day today. Been all sunshine and roses for them.
It's been looking clean, man. Been really happy with the plays they've been making for themselves. Looking so much better as well. Like a cut above what we saw from them in the previous stage, and that's the way it needs to go. You've got to improve every day. It's always got to be better. You can't afford to stagnate and slow down in such a competitive format. Pusher here again, finding a beautiful connection. Off onto Gladiators. Rejects going to be tested. Nades are coming in over the top. Default, right on target. As Sara's blown to bits. QX is finished off, as well as Queso are actually able to get that last D-lim in. So they land it on the nade and dispatch him. Default now charges further forward with the rest of the squad. They're going full aggro versus Rejects and looking to put a pin in this team. Pusher falls. Julo's going to deal with him. But they're being swung on. Up close and personal, it's Eugene that's on the ground floor.
Man, the fact that Luke was able to get in on side, sort of incredible. Duello. One player left, Lufa. Nade hits on towards that top side. Rook is just constantly resetting their forces here, getting players back with his team Queso. Arta off in the distance. It takes down Pusher. Unlikely he'll be able to pick him back up again. Lufa tries to pull the pin on the grenade, but isn't able to do it. Two players underneath. Duello understands that the blue is pushing him in. Has to hit these shots here if he wants a chance. He's so low down the stairs, not able to find it, but will at least get some of these elimination points. Eugene will likely now fall to the circle. Gets off at least this first aid kit, but that'll be about it.
It would all be about running, and with the sheer amount of damage the zone is doing, you've got no chance. The hill will be finished off, and Rook will go down. But honestly, that could have been a lot worse for them. The fact they've been able to rise back up the rankings after looking a little bit slow to the draw in this last Erangel, that's a good game for them. 7 elims, keeping themselves in the top 4 at least for now. We'll see how well that develops over the course of things. Constant medkits being deployed to keep Rook's name in the game for at least a few more moments as Eugene makes a bit of a move and gets back inside the zone. So he'll still be alive and kicking, potentially thinking about some slower, snaky gameplay to steal away a later placement. That's what's going to be on the tip of his tongue from this point forwards. Rest of the squads have still been advancing. Faze have kept themselves afloat as well, which felt like, honestly, they were going to go down quite quickly with some of the awkward fights we've seen them thrown into here. And maybe we'll see more of Faze as Eugene's going for a bit of a backstab, playing around the back of the hay bales and tucking in as he closes in on them.
Yeah, for Faze, it's starting to just maintain some of this point scoring they've been got going on, because don't really want to see them fall into another slump, right? So if they can keep this up, keep giving themselves that confidence that, you know what, we are a really good team and we can actually hit those numbers. We can actually hit those placement points. I think this is something that's going to be very important for Faze in our last 2 games of the day and coming into tomorrow as well. It does take a little bit of something to push them forward, right? DX in the center once again. Pretty typical of them. Mad Bulls sadly forced out on the edge of things. But a circle like this, you know, with the murky waters around this area, can cause problems no matter where the circle goes. But that is one hell of a cruel circle for a lot of teams. Heads out over towards the fielded area on the western side. I don't think this is at all what any of these teams expected this circle to be, but getting there nice and early will be a big boom for them. Faze moves through. Team Queso gets taken out by Tulika as they spot that rotate coming through very early on.
Oh, Mello just teasing Eugene here. Seems like they will finally finish off Rook, so they're not going to get any extra placement points off the back of this one. Taken out of commission, and now the big dogs in the game will go back to barking at one another. Big Milo, he's been really on point today, Blank. It's been crazy how good Team Queso have looked in terms of the communication, the rotations, but also the gun skill that they've been putting up again and again. This is another test for them, though. They have to deal with Mad Bulls. Mad Bulls surviving longer into this game, sure, but still not having many elimination points. Only the 1 under the belt, and that's not enough with how rough these games have been for him today. Here in the first day of the last chance, Tulika at least strikes onto Papi Potro and puts him down in the dirt. Only for a few minutes, though. A short-lived reign of terror as Tulika is tackled by the nade. Papi Potro, he gets struck, though, by Faze from quite a distance, and Team Queso realize now we need to speed this one up. We're going to start getting third-partied if we take too long to deal with Mad Bulls. They're eating damage from the nades and they're falling over. Blank. Could it go wrong here? Will Team Queso get too big for their boots?
Yeah, I mean, for Mad Balls, the circle's just going to be the absolute death of them here. Team Cosia did a great job. Pavi Potro with some unreal nades from his off angle, finally taken down by Tulika, but it might just be too late for them if it isn't for the fact that Big Milo is still absolutely dominating from this high ground position. 2 players left alive, and Big Milo and Arta, I think 2 players of really good skill when it comes to the long-range engagements. DX want to move down this way as well, finally moving outside their compound, but Big Milo is so extremely safe in this position with great sight lines above. You really do need to have those smokes on board to get through, and if you look at the utility count, DX is completely out of smokes here.
You're going to be left up the creek without a paddle. You need that utility. It can make the world a difference for you. DX, they're so damn good with the offensive util as well that not having those nades might be a bit of a problem, especially the smokes that are going to be lacking. So once those dissipate, you are wide open with no geometry to protect you. Levi's tries to turn the tide by taking the fight, peppers a few bullets towards Evos, and Luxy hits the deck for now. But our final 4 teams edging further and further towards one another. So much riding on this in terms of the points. Queso, they are probably gunning for the chance of getting a chicken dinner out of this. At the very least, high placement games with how they've been playing. DX are going to be running the same sort of thoughts through their mind. And for Evos and Faze, you need more points. So this has got to be a better game from them. Chow's being pushed up on. They're starting to close the distance. They realize how much power there is for DX from this compound. So they go in for the backstab. Nades over the top as well. Even Evos realizing maybe now's the time to strike.
Yeah, for DX, the fact they didn't take control of this ridge side early on, it's sort of a big deal for them because you can get up towards this position if you're Team Queso fairly confidently. And you can see now that Arta has complete control over this area. And luckily for him, Levi's able to hit a big grenade, but DX have to leave at some point. It's all down to Big Milo now with the nades knocking on the door of DX. Chow gets the high ground advantage. The DBS is there, but he pulls one out of his own. Quick flick will take him out. DX can continue going on forwards, but Pasija Evos sending in the nades now. This is something that DX is going to have to consistently keep sidestepping. Pasija Evos down to 3 nades of their own. A good nade from Misery over to Mormons here. Onzen, sorry, will take him out. Mela doing his best. They've been gifted a really strong position here of Faze on the outside of the field. They've got to make the most of it, but Misery is hitting some great nades in the moment, and I don't know if Onzen's going to survive this.
Constant nade barrage again and again. I mean, he's lucky that most of the attention right now is being drawn towards Melablanc, or this would be even worse with the way it's going. Faze would be down to basically just a solo man in a spot like this, so they need to stay alive. Battle back from Mela as the bullets whiz across. Zuxi as well, firing warning shots in, but Mela has been murked as Misery peeks up, bursts him with the UMP, and instantly takes him out.
It's such an unreal position that Faze have been given here as well, because eventually these lads from Faze will have to push out of this cover of the ridge side, out into the open. But Misery has done such a good job with the nades, with the UMP, taking shots over towards Mela, taking out the mischief maker himself on that team, leaving it just down to Mormons now. Very unlikely that Faze will be able to get the win as Pasija Evos line themselves up to steal the chicken dinner away from both DX and Faze. It's been a really quiet, slow, sneaky game from Pasija Evos, but a really, really strong one in terms of tacticality. Chow will find the final player there from Faze. Mormon goes down, but the shot's coming through. One player left alive now.
Here we go then. It's all down to this. Who's going to be grabbing the bag? DX dealing the final big blows. Evos will be able to at least withstand some of it, but they crumble in the end as that one will fall in favor of DX in the battle there. Chicken dinner secured. DX pick up the pieces and walk away content in the final Erangel. An interesting game though. Big point score for quite a few of the teams that needed it, and a bit of a shake in the balance. It's looking like some of the squads that were struggling today are at least waking up a bit more. It's been unpredictable, Blank.
Really unpredictable. I don't think anyone predicted that FaZe would continue to have those strong games after they lit the fire underneath themselves in that final game survival stage. But that was a good match. But you could still see those careless little mistakes coming from FaZe, because realistically, they didn't have to peak. Both Psg Evos and DX really had to fight against one another before Faze even needed to start peaking. The only time that Faze really needs to start having a go in that engagement is when you start seeing both those teams take shots at one another. Just back it up, get yourself out of nade range and those obvious positions behind the hay bale. So Misery and Cole can't just send nades over the top and get free picks on you. Faze, realistically, I think they should have won this game. DX, they battle against all odds to get into it. Yes, they get a little bit of circle look at moving back up towards that northern side, forcing Team Queso to move on their front. But I do think this was a really, really strong game coming through from DX.
It was a beautiful game, man. We needed to see some strengths from them, so it's good to see so many highlights on that one. A lot of big name squads really dealing some hefty blows, and the standings are shaking up a little bit. Let's head back on over to the desk then and pull out the scalpels so we can dissect the way the games have been going.
Xavier looking like true survivors here, able to pull things out on back-to-back games with some decent results. I was thinking back to the Potato Hill, but they eventually got pushed by Faze and Udo Alliance. This time able to hold on for a very long time to win the match, but one thing's always going to stand out in our eyes, Kallars. Faze Clan, 20 grenades.
Yeah, I don't know where they went. They evaporated into the multiverse, I suppose. They had 20 nades, all right? Like, where did they go? They used them on, I don't know, the fields. It was a bit ridiculous. I think if they had retained some of those against Xavier a little bit later in the match, I don't know how Xavier lives through the bombardment, but somehow, some way, Xavier was able to win it.
They were not in nade range, and they were just mowing down the grass in a very peculiar way. I think what they were doing in this match. But yeah, I think that if they have nades still remaining, they get rid of Psg Evos, they get rid of Xavier, and they very easily win this match. But man, Kallars, we did not expect Xavier to win this game, knowing they were inside of the swamp area for as long as they were, and actually able to fight Team Queso, mostly because Team Queso didn't have any nades remaining. That made it very easy to take the fight. But yeah, the lack of nades or Faze, they were just able to get a little bit of a wider spread, get multiple angles, and just overwhelm Faze and Psg Evo. So, man, Xavier finally able to wrap up a game, which I think is something we needed to see from Xavier, that typically is a very passive team.
It's important considering that they obviously had Potato Hill in the previous game and weren't really able to convert off of that. Now you get yourself another circle, you really need to be able to convert from it. They regrouped very wisely when they did, and as you say, like when they crest the hill, normally you should be peak attackable during all of that, but yeah, it's not to be. The other teams just a little bit, I'm not going to say lackluster in execution against them, but they were a bit scared of the vicinity to one another, Psg Evos and Faze, right? To really be able to deal with Xavier as wholeheartedly as they should be able to.
Get a little bit worried for some of the teams there, though. Obviously, as you saw Influence into Alliance going out early in the last match, it allowed teams like Queso and Xavier to rise up through the rankings and potentially build up some sort of point differential between them and some of the other teams. And Max even spotted out, was it the first 6 teams, or out of the first 6 teams, how many were top?
Yeah, actually, because to go further on your point, out of the 6 teams, right, is top 4, out of the top 5 teams, 4 of those teams went out early. So it's insane how much top teams in the rankings were out in the earlier stage of this match. So it opened up a huge opportunity for Team Queso, which is, as we saw now, they're currently first place, opened up a huge opportunity for Xavier, that were just before this in 6th position. And we know that top 5, that is going to be your limit to reach the grand finals. So great opportunities happened early on this match. So good for Xavier to capitalize on what I would say might just be their most important game if we look back on this last chance, because this game might have been the reason why they go to grand finals. I know it's early to call, but that's just how impactful this game possibly has been for them.
It shows the quality across the lobby, right? The fact that we came in and we thought to ourselves, yeah, maybe Mad Bulls and Influence Rage are kind of surefire bets for a top 5. Influence Rage is up there, but the quality of this lobby across the board is extreme. So with only 5 spots, that was not intentional. That was not intentional. So with only 5 spots up for grabs, yeah, it's he's chomping at the bit to say it.
Sorry.
Okay. It's honestly getting close, and obviously with every bad match you have as a team, that means it's even more difficult going forward. If you're going into day 2 expecting to have a pop-off day, well, so is almost every other team out there to try to get top 5 and try to survive into our grand finals. But we're gonna have to head to break it up for remind you guys once again about the Infinix GT10 Pro, official smartphone provider here at PMGC 2023. You guys can pick one up because it was born for professional esports players. So if you weren't a professional esports player, you might be if you pick up one of these bad boys. And you can also play in the new Frost Festival currently out in PUBG Mobile. Make sure you guys update the game. And Max, you've already played quite a bit of it. What's your thoughts?
I think it's cool because I love walking through the fields and I have no coverage and I die, but now I can actually create like little mountains of snow and I love the snow. It's great. I have a great time, Jason. I don't die that much anymore. It's cool.
Well, if you love snow so much, would you potentially move to where Klaris is, where he has 3 to 5 centimeters of
Yeah,
snow?
I'm on the move. I'm going right now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? You can also, while you're on the move, participate in the Popularity Annual Gala happening at the moment. We're between November 15th and December 19th. You guys can play in 10 1v1 matches, potentially earn some exclusive rewards that you can show off to all of your friends out there. Not to mention, if you want to show things off, show off your new Pagani, the Amola or the Zonda R collection for yourself and obviously your friends. Maybe you can drive around and look quite cool, as Max would say.
Pretty epic. No, that I would love to confirm some eliminations in that one, Jason. I can tell you that much. That's a great way to get those eliminations.
That took me a second there to think about confirming, but I know exactly what you meant. Don't even worry. You won't even feel the bump in that vehicle. Also, while you guys are winning your chicken dinners as well, you can kind of support PMGC and show off your pride about it, and also root for your favorite teams during as well. So make sure you pick up the new Victor Dance, which is available in the game at the moment. But in the meantime, we're going to take a short break here. We're getting things ready to go for Miramar.
Only 2 games remain, both of them being Miramar for the end of the first day of the last chance. Following this, tomorrow there'll be 6 last games blank, and then that's it. We know who makes it through. The top 5s looked ultra competitive, and we're seeing little shifts, little bits of climbing going on from some of the squads we were hoping would have some extra oomph to them, but we need to see even more going into these last.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see some of the pack differentiate themselves from one another. I mean, towards that top side, DX has been doing a really good job today. Even their games up towards Hill, I mean, took control of that. Yes, they lost out to Faze, but it was still a good game in terms of point scoring. That last one, getting themselves a nice chicken dinner, which felt like quite an impossible win as well. Was very, very strong. Team Queso at 42 points, though, ahead of absolutely everyone else. I think that's the big surpriser today for everyone at the moment is Team Queso doing so incredibly well. 31 eliminations to their 11 placement points, so they have just been fragging out game after game.
Been boshing out of control, man. Like, some of the games we've been seeing here have been a really good test for the individual strength that we're seeing. Whoa, it's a gyro clash, blank. God damn. The gyro's too powerful. It's causing problems. They're in each other's orbit.
They need a little bit more space, right? You know, you need to like just put a bit of tape around them in a circle. Like, this is my zone. This is my gyro zone. Okay, you stay out of it, please. But a lot of teams looking to stay in the zone for this one as we head in towards our first Miramar of the day, but our last 2 matches to conclude the first day of Last Chance here. So you can get some points on board on Miramar. Very different maps. Some teams tend to do a little bit better on this one than others. So we'll see if some of the other teams can start to chase up towards that top side. Because like I said, some of those teams at the top are getting very far ahead of the others at the moment up towards that first place position. I think the one surprising team for me right now is if we take a look at maybe, let's take a look at Influence Rage. Right now, 19 eliminations. They're 4th place, right? Currently, if we ended it, they'd be in towards the grand finals. Now we take a look at IHC. They have 4 more eliminations than them at 23 total. but they're in 9th place. What's going on, Jackie? They have 3 placement points. They've not been getting towards the end of the game ever, but they're absolutely fragging out when it comes to those elims.
It's crazy when you put it like that and look at it for what it is, right? It is kind of mad the way those games were going, because it feels like IHC, they're always the side that we have some things to talk about, some things to say, because they're always fighting, they're always roaming, they're always finding themselves in positions where it feels like, Godless, Alex, someone's going to make a play that will get us excited and farm up some points, but you've got to have those placements too. It's such a double-edged sword, right? That, yeah, they're willing to play so confidently and aggressive, but if you're not making it into the late game, you're losing out on those juicy bonus points, and it's making it far harder for them. So just got to maintain this pace, I guess. We need a few big bangers, potentially a chicken dinner towards the end of the day would be the dream scenario. That could be the remedy, the quick bandage fix to the points that they would need coming into this one. As we'll see how it goes. We're into Miramar. Miramar can be so hard to predict at times with what we're going to be seeing. What are we seeing here? Close grouping between Gladiators and BTR, as they have actually dropped on top of each other towards the Cobria. This could be a bit of a cheeky start, Blank. I mean, really, for BTR, probably technically the side that could come out a bit better off from this. If you're actually able to find the early elims onto Gladiators, a nice way to get yourself an extra couple of points, because that's what they need. 26 points currently.
Yeah, I think for Gladiators, this is probably one of the first times that they've ever been challenged in La Cobreria this instantaneously. They do find themselves at least a first knock off the back of it, but this is very unexpected for Gladiators. Usually La Cobreria is all to themselves. It's realistically teams that start to challenge them down towards Crater Fields later on in the game, but quick adjustment from the Gladiators comes through to at least get that first elimination over towards BTR. And you're right, for BTR, 26 points. They have a chance at getting even more in these last Miramars, maybe getting themselves up towards a better position to take things away at the end of the day and get in towards that top 5. So challenging this seems almost odd to me, realistically. Matic has a bead onto where a couple of these players are as they keep exposing themselves off in the distance. For Gladiators, I think they'd be well pleased to get themselves 4 eliminations off the back. But I would agree with you, right? I sort of thought that this would more than likely go in the favor of BTR. Right now, Gladiators don't feel like that much of a strong team.
No, they don't. They don't look like themselves. It kind of feels like it is a bit of a coin flip, honestly, each day of like what Gladiators are you going to see and how much pressure's on them. Because weirdly, it feels like normally when the pressure's really mounted and they've realized like, oh, look, if we don't get 20 points today, it's all gone wrong and we're not making it out. That's when they find 20 points miraculously. Today, though, it's been a little bit slow to the start. Hasn't really felt like they've been as lethal, so it's not looked as good. BTR, though, I kind of feel like have been the contrary to that. They've been really good in some of the team fights and good sort of composure as well. When they do just have to play, a 20-minute game of playing slow, playing smart, that's also been in their wheelhouse. So would have pegged them to be the one to walk away with some extra points from the drop. Losing a man early, though, means that they're a little bit less confident to make much out of that. Oh, that's a close gap there, Zuxi. Not sure if he had the spatial awareness on that one, Blank. Thought he could fit through it.
Yeah, trying to squeeze the car through. Scratch the paint job on the Golden Morado, but, you still get it through at the end of the day. Out of the Hacienda del Patron compounds on their bike to move further into the circle. Circle is over towards that eastern side. We're around Lebendita, Graveyard, Junkyard. A lot of little high ground areas, but also a lot of flat terrain around this position of the map, which can make some of those end games a little bit more tough, where you put a bit more precedent on having one of the few compounds in the area and hoping the circle comes over towards your way. Some teams sort of have just been battling the game in their favor in different ways too, with just some strong elimination points. And Team Queso on your screen right now, certainly one of them currently in first place at the moment, 42 points. Very much deserved. Teams had some great moments already in Last Chance and Survival Stage. Felt a little bit of a breeze for them, to be honest. Not the most amount of points in the world that they finished off with, but they were very, very safe. So just confirming that top 16 position for themselves before heading into Last Chance in their attempt to get towards the grand finals itself. BTR, though, very much hunkered down. Gladiators still trying to see if they can spot out. Looks like they already took a couple of shots over towards Satar there, off in the distance.
Matic. just watching with his eagle eye through the scope and waiting to see if there was an opportunity to strike on anyone. But playing smart, playing slow. Oh, hello. You do Alliance as well. A few warning shots have gone out. BTR finally being aggressed upon as well. Look how many bullets he's got. It's a big old gun blank. And that magazine belt constantly ricochets off bullets that deal damage onto the side in front of them. So BTR left looking a bit green around the gills. Kitsune suffering from a similar sort of fate as he'll go down. So Tar trades back. Tixie's been caught on the cross past the roadside and finished off by Satar.
Yeah, and with Kitsune trying to dodge these bullets coming out from Neos as well. The distance is realistically just 2 players from Gladiators up against BTR as Neos came in for a quick peek. In comes Matic, though, looking to pick up his fellow teammate here before he bleeds out and takes too many shots. And it's all left down to Meku to try and hold down this fort versus BTR themselves. So effectively a 1v3 here.
Satar's been good, though. He's been hitting some nice shots. Ooh, triumphant moves. Dives in through the window. Going to be pumped full of adrenaline after that one. Saw his life flash before his eyes, but he's still alive and kicking. Nades to play with as well. Dashes that one over the back. Not going to be close enough to connect onto either one of them. Brute Force providing somewhat overwatch as well. As Satar handles the up-close attack from the Gladiators, they're eating damage from the backline. BTR starting to bob and weave their way through the buildings, but need to get a move on quickly. Even if they clean up on Meku Blank, they've got to think about jumping in a vehicle and making their rotate, because it's going to get worse for wear. You're going to be watched by Brute Force on your exit and have the zone nipping at you. And Meku is still just trying to stay alive, still just looking for an opportunity to strike. Satar pops the heel and they want to burst out onto the roof. You're going to be running into this man's gun.
I mean, Meku's just got bandages. It's basically over. They all come out. DBS is in play, but it's more than not enough. As BTR will finish off the final members of Gladiators and they go down. Currently in 16th place this match, 11th place overall, but a horrible start for them as Brute Force find themselves a couple of cheeky picks of their own as they leave from La Cobreria. A really odd decision coming through from BTR, honestly, to take that fight versus the Gladiators. Like, this is one of those engagements on Miramar where it can go horribly wrong for you. And Brute Force in the wings come in to have a quick peek over the top, get some eliminations of their own, do a bit of damage over towards BTR. And that fight has been extended so long that it felt like realistically no one won off the back of that. So for Gladiators, pretty crushing defeat for them. BTR still have a couple more games in them to try and get those points high enough to get into the top 5, but this almost feels like somewhat of a wasted game for their side of things.
Thrown away the potential of, really getting as much as you could out of it. Feels like for Gladiators, I know it's coming up close towards the end of the first day, but it feels like maybe their run for the overall last chance here has already concluded before it even really started. Haven't found themselves too many selling points, too many reasons to make me think they're going to go on a superhero-esque run here to guarantee top 5 in the standings. Right now, the top 5's looking pretty damn competitive with how it's been played. Evos, one of the sides that is almost there, nearly breaking in, currently ranked 6th. They're fighting over towards the hill here, as Duxan seem to have found an opportunity to put bullets down range, peppering into them. Misery's been dropped. They've got to go for the reds onto him. Uni still just lining this one up as well. Realize that Influence Rage are also somewhat close by. A lot of potential infighting could be occurring here.
Massively so. So many teams pretty much dead central around San Martin and Graveyard. It's a difficult position to play, especially for that end game where a lot of teams would like to set themselves up alongside this ridge face, hold some of the higher ground positions. Faze currently still sat in Picardo. They have that ability to wander up through the foothills on that north side to get into a strong position, but IHC already claim a lot of that area. So Faze's rotate might be a little bit hampered by a couple of teams around them. But this game is definitely going to be just a lot of pot shots taken at one another, as you can kind of tuck yourself in quite easily towards this ridge. But Reject were in the more central positions up towards Power Grid itself on that eastern side. Might be able to get some points on this game. Currently desperately needing them in 12th place. But if you look towards the top of the stands, 33 points. You get yourself 10 eliminations, a chicken dinner. Teams with 15 points, 13 points certainly can get themselves towards a decent victory off the back of it.
Can't take anything as granted, though. Nothing is guaranteed in these games. These lobbies have proven that time and time again, where even if it feels like you make every move perfectly, something can always come in to throw a spanner into the works. The zone shift here potentially being one of those elements for Rook and for Reject. They're both probably counting their blessings on this one, as they're going to have a nice earlier setup compared to some of our other squads in terms of the limited geometry that's available. So a bit of compound control at the end of the day can make a whole world of difference. Brute Force peeking out of the windows, and they eye up a potential point convoy as Enigma Galaxy are on the move, driving past them in the field outside. They take a few warning shots out. Is going to course correct and avoid being exposed towards the windows, so no free pickups for Brute Force.
It's a weird circle as well, the way this one lines up, because a lot of teams know that plateau over towards the western side of the map can be an absolute death trap when you have to move over towards it. Teams like Brute Force might have been able to get some of the compounds in that area, win out the game from it, but with it shifting so hard towards the eastern side, does allow some of these teams that haven't quite got towards the ridge side yet, haven't quite got inside the circle, to be playing on some of these compounds. But it's EVOS to take down one of the players from Enigma Galaxy, as like you said, the points convoy just desperately trying to attempt to find some kind of place to stay. And they'll just keep on sending through, with Lord also stopping short there. Freak goes down to a shot from Regiocio, as they have been holding on a pretty strong position on the highest bit of ground. Almost guarantees you to live out the rest of the game, but difficult to get here early enough to take control of it, but Reject certainly have.
Rough as well, Blank, because it's giving me flashbacks of what we were seeing from Enigma Galaxy previously, when they were kind of leaving themselves so late on the rotates that they would just sort of drive around like this ice cream van that everyone knew was 3 points, because you could just take pot shots at them. They wouldn't have any quick plans, didn't have any backup positions to go to, and they were loading themselves into 1 or 2 vehicles. So it kind of felt like a clown car, you just pepper bullets into it. You're going to guarantee to find yourself 1 or 2 eliminations as long as those shots connect. So that's been rough. Not really been the way they wanted this to play out, already losing a bit of manpower and being forced into a 3-player setup. Mad Balls on the horizon here, as they've pulled up to the party slightly behind Udo Alliance. Now, Udo do have a big position, so much high ground, so much of an understanding of where everyone else is situated, and a prime position to just take pot shots down the hill. If Mad Balls can make it uncomfortable and potentially force a fight here, that's one that will decide a lot in terms of a power play position.
Yeah, difficulty for Udo Alliance is leaving this hilltop, right? Moving down towards Team K, who have got pretty open sightlines towards them. It's just rough for them. And with Mad Balls kind of penning them in now, that has caused issues for them too. I do like what Mad Balls are doing, though. They realize that that position is not going to be too strong for very long, so it's not worth continuing to harry on in terms of those third parties. They'd rather just move north through Graveyard, deny those sightlines, and try and get into a better spot. And we move further back over towards the western side. So this is a bit of a flip-flop circle, but any team that's continuing to hold down their positions over on the high ground on that ridge are feeling quite happy about themselves. Reject couldn't sort of afford to give up their position too early, so they will hold on to it, move a little bit further down towards the concrete. Just 1 player remaining now in Lord over for Enigma Galaxy.
Oh, Enigma Galaxy, man. They've just had so many unlucky rotates, so many unlucky repositions where they leave themselves susceptible so late and just get battered because of it. Here they basically found Shedville and decided to poke up inside one of the shacks, barely staying alive with a few smokes to break up the lines of sight. You're incredibly low though, and even if they reset and get those reses off, that's still going to be 3 players with low HP with no real getaway plan. Ooh, Faze taking heavy hits. It's Inco as Vitali, through the window, peeks in and spams a few of those off. Substantial distance as well, so clean connections that actually make it a little bit harder for Faze on this one. And Udo Alliance moving down now, actually creating a bit of space from themselves. They've realized there is a potential third party to be had a little bit further down the hill for themselves. So they'll be sizing up that one and seeing where they can slot themselves in. Meanwhile, Rook with the connection on Queso. Queso currently the top squad, Blank, as they lead with 42 points.
Origin off in the distance, getting taken shots out by Faze. Faze, I would say, have had a bit of a late rotate here, but they are finding some eliminations wherever they can in the meantime, trying to pick themselves their way back into the lobby, decide that it's a good idea to head back up towards those foothills in Picado that they knew were free from before. I respect that. Influence Rage over towards BTR, already taking a knock there. So we'll continue the fight a little bit longer. Superboy, Satar split off one another. Kayovsky sends a nade over the top. Satar has to bank out the way, but there should be sight lines on the side. Satar does go down eventually.
Falls off. Finished off now for good, as Influence Rage will commit. Oh, Uni peeking over the top of their hill. That'll be a headshot as well. Influence Rage starting to show some of the potential power that they have in that gun skill now. Hitting some of these bigger shots, and they need another big game. We've got to see Influence Rage really let themselves out of the cage here. Keep pushing themselves further up the standings. You're not safe in fourth. You're not safe with only 35 points just yet. DX aggressing back in with the nades. Levi's tries his luck with the Molotov as well. Wants to ignite Cluck and leave him burning. Send him off to the Burns ward for good. And he's going to move up now, looking for the close quarters engagement as he tries to push through the smoke line. Widespread as well with the way they're playing this. Nades coming in from his teammates to support also as Levi lines up another one.
Yeah, and I think for DX, they realize they need to keep pressuring Udo Alliance. It's a 2v4, and they've made it into a 2v3, so necessary. They keep the pressure on. They do find the knock and the flush off the back of that. So we're in a 2v2. Can DX hold on to the 2v4 here, Jackie?
It's a good question, Blank. And they're going to need to show us their absolute all as DX are in the thick of it. Levi's, the lethality's clean. Even got the connection off with the last few rounds there. But it's not going to be the team in front. It's Faze all the way in the back that put the pressure on and third party to steal it.
That could have been the 2v4 from DX as well versus Udo Alliance. I mean, you've got to give all props to Udo Alliance there. The fact they were able to get off from that hilltop, it is really not an easy push whatsoever. But Levi's and Chow, again, those DX nades coming in clutch. With Levi's in the close range as well, he is really nifty with it. Very, very fun stuff indeed. Circle, again, another hard shift down towards his southeast side. So many teams suffering off the back of this one. Likely that Enigma Galaxy, Brute Force all don't make it through this. Brute Force would have to make a very, very quick and swift push over towards Reject and the concrete on that western edge if they wanted to have a hope in hell of surviving this. But yeah, this has been a set of really difficult circles for all these teams. Mad Bulls surviving though. They've not got the most points here, and I think for those 15 they would love to get themselves a chicken dinner. They did a lot better on that last angle, got themselves set up in a pretty precarious spot on the eastern edge of the ridge, but luckily for them they're not having to move further towards that western side, so they can try and hold out some of these teams, but they do not have that high ground advantage.
Big Milo certainly does though. He is the big boy on the server right now, lining up some shots from his high heights as he'll strike down on them. And then they go in for a bit of a scouting mission, advancing further forward for the information play so Queso understand where everyone else is. Meanwhile, Evos have been clashing versus Duxan, and Mad Bulls are now looking to backstab onto them as well. Hell, even Brute Force are taking bullets from Reject Tokyo. So the Japanese squad again aggressing and looking to find an opportunity to punish here. Faze have been third partying with some very well placed bullets. They've been using the timing to a good position to find some freebies. Influence Rage though, they've really had to fight for everything they get here. None of it has been for free. None of it has been easy, and they go down as Faze will be able to lay claim to not only the points but a big takedown, stopping Influence Rage from absorbing any more points here onto the first Miramar.
Yeah, they move up into position, and whilst Ventoris tries to pick up his teammate, Team Queso sort of stuck on the edge here. They've got a wide split going on right now, and Big Milo has been hitting some nasty shots with a Mini 14, just placing these bullets directly on the target so easily. They're just sticking to him. It's been very nice to see from Team Queso holding it down on this 2-2 split, but I think even they realize that now is probably the time to regroup, reassess the scenario of Rook on that north side, Faze down towards the south. They'd rather get themselves into a much more compact position. Duxan on our screens, a lot of teams trying to take fights alongside them. We've got Brute Force attempting to make it in on that northern edge, and I said that they were all but done, especially coming in from that western side. It's so tough, but the circle, again, setting us up over towards this little valley in between, and Inco currently have a really strong position, and it's a much-needed game for Inco as well, if they want to get some points on board now, because their day has been horrendous so far, currently sat at only 10 points in 14th place.
They're doing a good job of grabbing some of those potential points here as well, as they had to fight versus a duo from Mad Bulls. They got one of the guaranteed full-on elims. The other was a knock on Tulica, who's now expired as well. So pressure on Mad Bulls, down to just a single solo, who won't really have that much stock in the overall game. IHC and Reject Tokyo, though, potentially about to have a bout here, as they are on top of one another. Very close by in terms of the spacing. High ground does fall in favor of Reject. They can peer down the hill and look to try and get an angle on this, see if they can land some shots. Evos close by as well, as what remains of Duckstan start to try and spelunk their way across, see if they can climb on up slowly but surely. Worried about the peak from the ridge side as well, and that's Rook that's been detected. Hoxie bursts out a collection of bullets, putting the thunder on them. But none of those really landing, not connecting, so just giving that information up. And that means Evos now know where Duxan are playing from. And they just peek into him blank, confident to take the fight with the advantage, hitting the first shots. Evos can't fully commit, though, with how much damage was done off of that shot. So it's the rest of the team that needs to pick up the pieces. Looking for an angle on this one as Redface goes in with the nade.
I mean, Misery's been kind of sick with it today, honestly. Some really nice shots coming through from him. Some great nades on that last game too, but as Redface opened things up over towards Duxan with Junie going down. Hoxie sends away, but is visible. Can he hit all the shots he needs? Not quite just yet. In the meantime, AHC currently being dealt with by Reject, but this could go either way. Team Queso find a shot over towards Mormon. Big Milo still holding down the fort on that northern edge versus Rook. Faze. It's a big test for them. Can they go toe-to-toe with the big dogs in the lobby as they send directly over towards them? In the meantime, it's Redface takes down last player from the Mad Bulls. Faze attempting to hold on to this one.
Faze, what can you do for us? We know that they are absolutely monstrous on Miramar when they're playing well. They've had some big moves already today, and Queso are gone. Finished off as Faze will hit their shots and take out the first place team to build themselves all the way up to 8 eliminations, breaking into that 5th place spot and looking to climb even higher once these points are totaled up. Redface with the strike back on the Hoxie shuts down Duxan, so they're also gone. Say goodbye to the South Korean representation that we have here on the first Miramar. IHC still lurking in the depths beneath Reject Tokyo. One player in Alex, though, has been slowly climbing and looking to make a bit of a flank on this. He'll be the one trying to make a play a little bit later. We'll see how well that works, as it seems like he takes his shots onto Osio and does actually connect, finishes him off as Osio was looking to fight onto Evos. Now the rest of IHC want to climb on up blank. They want to help out with this.
Yeah, IHC managed to get themselves up here. Alex has done a fantastic job to get himself in position. Now they're fighting face-to-face versus the Reject squad. Incredible stuff from Alex. He has been so phenomenal today. We said they needed placement points, and this looks like a game where they might be able to get some of them. Sarah just about gets his way down, doesn't take a single lick of damage as he sticks the toes into the wall side. Lufa's able to get Alex out of the way with the DPS, and Sarah might be able to go for the surprise play on the side.
Sarah, big set of biceps on him, a mean right hook. If he can sneak up, if he can play the timing whilst his teammates even bait for info, firing out some shots to keep the attention, he could get a huge shutdown onto IHC. They've handled Alex, who was the most focal point of it, so it should be a little bit easier than what they've already had to deal with. Faze on the move, taking some heavy hits, but Mela will cruise control them into a better position. IHC looking to strike. Sara has been spotted, so he's not going to go off on that one. His flank is for naught, and the numbers are dwindling. Reject Tokyo down to just one. Eugene with a fadeaway shots blank. Not quite getting that one.
Luxy gets a look at the draw on that one, able to survive out, but it's Luke from that top side, takes him down, but not before Redface can get the immediate refrag on towards it. Inco gifted a very free game here with the circle in play. Gives me sort of flashbacks over towards last PMGC, last chance, where Inco was getting a lot of these central shifts, but comes a little bit late for them here on this Miramar. They've got 6 eliminations though, and with a chicken dinner would see themselves very happy in terms of point scoring right at the end of the day. IHC still going strong. Root attempting to push over towards them. It's Redface with a Lynx AMR actually taking a massive shot over towards some of these other teams.
IHC starting to crumble away now. It's all on Godless, and he gets swung on. The full frontal assault even enough to finish him there. But it's Redface in the back with the snipe that deals the damage as well. Hitting that and now pushing in, closing the gap on Rook. Mate, this is huge for him. Suddenly, they bumped themselves up on the elims to some new heights and still got potential to try and squeeze out some extra placements on this. They're into the final 4.
The fact that Redface got 8 eliminations is a massive count from these guys. Squash, though, finds the shot over towards Mormon with the nade. Will explode him out of the way here. Mela maybe looking for a little bit more on this game, but that'll be all she wrote. Just 2 teams remaining. Redface and Inco. Inco looking to finish things off here, but Redface should be more than proud of himself with an incredible match ahead of him. 8 eliminations here, tosses the nade over the top, but it should just be done as Nenebeche picks it up with the S12K. Like I said, very free game there for Inco. They don't seem too happy about it. It is just one that's given to you by the circle itself. But I think all eyes got to be on Redface that game. He was playing a blinder of it. Plus, also the little engagement between Team Queso and Faze cannot be forgotten. The fact that Faze wins that out versus the current #1 team in the lobby, that is a big statement to be made.
It's huge for them. It goes to show as well, Blank. I mean, maybe one